All right, welcome in, everybody. I am your host, Matt Novak. Alongside me, as always, my co-host, Grant Hawker.
What's up?
On the third mic tonight, Jamison DeFore.
Hello.
And joining us again, Brogan Grinamana. I'm just going to screw it up on purpose because it's more fun. What's up, Brogan?
Thought you were gonna screw the first name up. So I was sitting there like, oh, he got that. Oh no, he didn't. Never mind. He got it wrong. Oh man.
Well, welcome back. This is history. This is our first return guest.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You're the first one that came back.
Yeah.
Back to back, baby. Back to back.
We'll bring it back next Tuesday, and then it'll be a
If there's a three-peat.
back-to-back.
It'll be
If there's a back-to-back, right? There you go. We'll run with it. We'll run with the theme. We're all praying and hoping that doesn't happen, and we hate your hat, but whatever.
Interesting.
You know,
Interesting.
these are choices that you have made.
I don't know if you should say we're all praying and hoping.
Oh no, I mean the three of us. It's a majority.
Can I ask why you have that hat? Because I know you're not a Chiefs fan. Like, why do you just have?
So honestly, I like getting hats when I go to like stadiums, and I have a good buddy that lives in Kansas City, and so they didn't have a Royals hat in my size. Otherwise, this would be a Royals hat, which I loved, like the white and blue, but they didn't have it, and I was like, well, let's get a Chiefs hat because we went into the stadium. So
Bro, as a former resident of the awful state of Missouri,
dude,
bro, you've been to the good part. Just put it that way. That place sucks.
Royal Stadium is so weird. I know this has nothing to do with the podcast, but like that stadium would go from like, oh, this is a cool spot. That is foul. Like there was no like in between. Like it was dollar hot dog night. And I went up and I was like, what's the limit? And they're like, bro,
there isn't one.
And I was like, this is not good. Like this is white trashy. Like, yeah, it was great. Tickets for like $11.
Yep.
It was great.
Well, we lost whatever viewers we had in Missouri. They're gone. We just trashed their state.
No, we definitely do have a few people that watch quite regularly, actually, from Missouri, and they know my feelings. It's not the first time I've said that out loud. Brogan, here's my dollar hot dog night story. Me and my good buddy Kyle, which I think everybody knows is not the smallest human being on the face of the planet. So Kyle came to visit. He had a family reunion in Nebraska, and when you're close enough, just keep coming. So he came to hang out, and we went to Chicago White Sox Royals, and it was dollar hot dog night. Plus, they were doing fireworks that night.
White Sox Royals.
So and it was
that sounds horrifying.
Both teams were horrible.
The Royals have not been good until like the last 2 years.
Well, no, remember there's a World Series, bro.
Oh yeah, 2013.
Yeah. So after I left, they got 14 because they got good after 14. I left. So this was 2013, and it was like August or September, and they sucked real bad. So we got tickets for like $18 down behind the third base, and we're watching this game, and Kyle literally looks at me and goes, "Bro, I'm going hot dog an inning." And I'm like, "Bro, that's you. Do you know how long a baseball game is?"
Well, it's like the 9-inning challenge, right?
Yeah. So he goes and gets. He started with 3. And knocked those out, no problem. First 3 innings. By the way, it's also dollar Pepsi night and dollar peanuts. That's still a thing. It's been this way for like literally 20 years. And so he goes and knocks out the 3. He gets 1 bag of peanuts and then 2 Pepsis. Those are all gone by the end of the 3rd inning. So he's like, reload, let's go. And he disappears, comes back, and bro is probably 25 at the time. Okay. Bro comes back with 2 more hot dogs, and then 2 things of peanuts and another Pepsi. Knocks that out. Goes away, comes back 3rd time, and it's like in the 7th inning, and he brings back 2 more dogs. So he's evened up by the end of the 7th inning, finishes them off, and I look at him and I'm like, how are you like alive? Like, he had another Pepsi. I was like, dude, I don't understand. And he goes, well, I feel pretty full, but I'm trying to finish. And he didn't realize it, but they end the challenge in the 8th inning. So it's like, or they end the sales of all that crud in the 8th inning. So like that's when it cuts off, is like halfway through the 8th, so they can start clearing up. So we get done with the game, or the game gets over, but it gets tied up by the Royals in the bottom of the 9th, and it extends. So we're there 10th inning, 11th inning, 12th inning, 13th, 14th. By the time we hit the 14th inning, bro's taken a dumper 2 times. 2 times. And then we go into the 15th inning, and I'm like, bro, I'm going home. This is stupid. Like, this game sucks. And let's just go. Nobody scored. And so we walk out. It's almost 1 a.m. And we're getting in the car, and he looks at me and he goes, hey, do you think we can hit up Taco Bell on the way home? I'm like, what? You monster. Dude, you took down 7, like 4 or 5 sodas and like 5 bags of peanuts, and he's asking for food by 1 a.m. after taking a couple trips. So
also, not that hot dogs are quality food, but on the scale of hot dogs, these are low quality hot dogs.
Bro, they're so bad. Whatever off-brand trash they cook,
dude, they're horrible.
And they're like boil burnt. They've been sitting in that nasty water for so long, they're like burnt.
And the buns were like, hey, like, let's warm these. And they just put them next to the stove that's cooking the hot dog. Yep. So they're outside crisp. It's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, and also because when they're boiling those things, like every time that I boiled hot dogs and I see like 3 ounces of water fall onto the bun as they're putting it in.
Yes.
And it gets all sogged up. It's the grossest thing ever. So gross.
And what they do is they stack them like 10, 12, 20 at a time. So they take them out of there. They put them in there. Then they wrap them in foil so the dudes can chuck them around the stadium, or they can sell them individually right there. So I've at least learned while living there, if you're going to do it and you're going to sacrifice your gut to it, to go to the little stand and purchase them there and wait until right when they put them into the foil. Because like you're at least getting the best of a bad product, right? So yeah, no, those are terrible. Please, nobody eat those. You're going to get cancer. You're going to die early. RIP to Kyle. And legitimately, he's fine. He's doing great. Don't worry about it. But no, it's the worst. And that place sucks just as a whole. Mm-hmm. Both the stadiums are lame overall in terms of how it is, because it's all one big parking lot where the Chiefs and the Royals are. But kudos to you for looking to the Royals hat, because that is some of the best colors in baseball for sure. Yes. I'd say that's a definite top 5er. Love that blue for sure. We got a lot of things to talk about. That was a great hard left to kick out. We have a Super Bowl coming up. We got some things already going on in lying season. Coaching's kind of filled out since our last discussion. Grant and I went over some of that, this last week, a little bit about where everybody's landing and all that. Jamison's still super happy because the Saints don't have a coach. I know the hate is very real there. So true. Everybody assumes it's Kellen Moore at this point. I'm hearing that a ton.
Yeah.
We're just waiting for the season to be over because bro's still the OC over in Philly, and they're just waiting for the inevitable to take place. I don't know if that dude can fix things.
No,
but
no, it's the worst. It's like the worst coaching spot to go to, like out of all the spots.
And why, Grant?
Because their GM, their ownership decides to just pay all these old players millions of dollars more than they're worth, and continue to think that they're still dealing with the ramifications of trying to win with Drew Brees, of like paying all those guys way more than what they should have been. Like those deals are finally coming to an end, maybe like next year. But they're overpaying like crazy for like B guys. And that's always the issue, right? When you pay for B, you give B guys A money, like you're not winning anything. So,
I mean, yeah.
When you go to like spottrack.com and you like look at the cap for each team, it's like everybody, and then down at the bottom is like the Saints. And I'm like, that, if I'm in a bad mood, sometimes I just pull up that and
they've been the top one for the last like 4 or 5 years.
Right?
Yeah, it's tragic
to be terrible. I don't know why their owner hasn't fired their front office. Maybe they have, but it was just so bad.
I don't know. They gave Kamara that deal in the middle of the season, and everybody was like, hey, don't you know that you're not supposed to give running backs on the wrong side of 30, $10+ million? Like, that's a rule.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. And they did it in the middle of the season.
And hey, Derek Carr, can you restructure your contract? It's like, No. Why would I take less money from you guys?
Well,
no, thank you.
To his credit, he did say he would be happy to restructure, but
Not
he would not take a pay cut.
Which is hilarious, though, because he said, like, his quote was like, after all that I've done, I'm like, what have you done, bro?
He said, all that I put on tape. All that I put on. I put it on tape.
I'm like, I'm sorry, bro.
Week 1 through 4.
You got the bag, happy for you, dude. Like, you absolutely are, like, walking away with millions and millions of dollars with your career. But, like, bro, you've done nothing in your career. Like,
but he's got to try and justify his decision, though, right?
I mean, sure.
In the world of PR, you got to save some face somehow.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, if you look at his touchdown interception ratio, he's on a 2-to-1. So it's not like it's nothing. He threw some yards in the games that he played. And so the stats, if you just look at stats, okay, well, I mean, yeah, he got hurt. And you would say that about anybody else. But we also watched a lot of those plays, and you see him throwing into oblivion at times, and just the stupidity that happens when that guy plays quarterback. And it's followed him, in both the places he's been. I mean, he did it with the Raiders too at times. Dude had one great season, and those injuries clearly have piled up over time, and he doesn't even look like he cares. But ever. Anyway, we're not talking about this guy. We want to talk about all kinds of other stuff. Okay, so I want to get into
preferably.
Well, in a moment we're going to get into prop bets. But we need to, because they're hilarious. But genuinely also want to just go over anybody else paying attention to Myles Garrett just saying, forget you guys. You have no idea what you're doing, because that was hilarious this week to me. And I said to you guys, at 31 teams threw in a phone call as soon as he said it, because that's a rating DOPY, and everybody wants him.
Yeah.
Did I say DOPY? PTY, dang it.
Yeah. Dude, it doesn't matter. We get it. This Deshaun Watson trade has wasted away his prime. His prime, Nick Chubb's prime. Like, these guys, like, this team was in the playoffs and, like, was winning playoff games like 3 years ago with Baker Mayfield, by the way, as a quarterback. Like, this trade is absolutely the worst of all time. There isn't one. Yes. There is not one worse. Like, then now, I think number 2 might be like Russ. We've seen 2 terrible ones, maybe top 3ers of all time in the last couple of years.
Never mind. Yeah, it's one. Yeah.
I mean, because the fully, I mean, it's coupled with the fully guaranteed money as well. I'm including all of that in there. Like, this whole Deshaun Watson deal.
The Dallas Cowboy Herschel Walker one is
that.
Because they literally traded Herschel Walker for 3 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
That's pretty uneven trade.
This is definitely the worst trade in the modern, like, in the last 20 years.
For sure.
Like, and
it's the worst contract in the history of the NFL. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Worst contract ever.
By far.
So you couple that with it being the second worst trade and the worst contract. It's the worst GM decision. The fact that dude's not gone right now. Like, his name's Andrew Berry that's running the joint right now. I understand he's not the one that signed the deal on Deshaun, but like, they have not been able to do anything to course correct here. And I'll give great validity to the fact that Nick Chubb suffered a gruesome injury, is a huge component to that offense, and was not available for most of the season because of it. But genuinely, like, what else are you doing out there? Because everybody went into the season knowing you were going to suck. You sucked. Nobody was surprised. And I don't blame Garrett at all. Like, you just had so many years of this. At some point, you're done.
Yeah.
But I did think it was pretty funny that, and in kind of a hilarious way, you do it right before the Super Bowl, which, it just gives a whole big news cycle to him. He's going to probably be around the Super Bowl stuff, so he gets to talk about it all week and why. By the way, gift that keeps on giving. Speaking of that guy's teammate this last year, Jameis Winston, who we have a strong affinity for.
Hilarious.
Incredible.
All over the Super Bowl coverage. Thank you, Fox, for that.
Did you see he's throwing W cookies?
Yeah, dude.
Did you see that?
Literally, he threw a cookie of it's in the shape of a W to Travis Kelce, and like Travis Kelce took a bite. James was like, eating dub.
He's like, dude.
He tried to throw one. He tried to throw one to Kelce, like a second one, and like somebody hit it out of the air or caught it before he got there. He's like, people are used to intercepting my stuff. And I was like, dude, this guy is.
He's the best, man. I cannot wait. So like, great. When he retires, he's gonna be in the chair. some sort of analyst of some kind. Either if it's like on the sideline at
I
halftime.
don't know. Well, I don't know. I wonder if he's going to go the Pat McAfee route and
His
say I'm
own
going to
show?
I want to control it myself.
Bro,
Can you?
that
I mean,
that might
okay,
be
but
legit.
Pat has a seriousness to him, though. I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm not saying that Jameis is not serious at times. He definitely is. I mean, the problem is he's like dead serious and crazy while he's doing it.
Yes.
Like it's a lot. I don't know if I'd want him on the daily. I love the weekly thought, but I definitely
So-
put him on the Fox analyst panel. Heck
Mhm.
yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know,
Like replace Gronk in 2 seconds because that dude's a waste of space.
Yeah.
But
Gronk's the worst. You know how Jason Kelsey does that late night show?
yes.
hmm
That's what Jameis needs to be doing.
Have like a little window, like a 30-minute hour segment.
No, give him the show and just literally, it's like it's better than SNL, dude. Because like he'll just one day just be like, dude, you guys ever heard this song? And you're just like, yeah, let's do a music bit. All right, like, cool.
Dude.
He's
the best.
I love him. If you're not paying attention to all of his coverage this week, you're not doing yourself any favors because it's gold constantly. And in this season of his life, he's grown up into a certain type of person. This is a dude that clearly loves Jesus. He loves his wife and he loves his kids and he really loves football.
Yeah.
And he is happy to talk about all that plus jambalaya and whatever else runs through his brain at all times. And it's beautiful. Like, just hit record, people. It's worth it. But I'm looking forward to all that leading up to this Sunday. That's going to be super fun. We're going to take a quick right here. Jamison, what is happening? Why is Cooper Kupp being shipped off?
Because as much as it sucks, he's old and costs too much money. And the Rams are actually a good organization, believe it or not, that knows when to cut bait when they need to. And so as much as it sucks, and as much as I wanted a Cooper Kupp, lifer for the Rams, it just, he's going to be 32. He's getting paid too much money. We stumbled into Puka Nacua.
Yeah, you guys did.
So it's like, hey, we need to keep getting better. And unfortunately, injury prone, in your early 30s, small guy who was built on, twitch speed and quickness and just doesn't really have it like he used to anymore. Yeah, great hands, but just isn't like that guy anymore. So as unfortunate as it is, got to do it.
It's sad though. Like that to me, you saw him like make the comment. I thought it would start and end here. Like I had no desire to go anywhere else. But he must not be willing to take the pay cut because I can imagine if he took he took whatever that
it would have been no question if there was a pay cut like available that he would have accepted. No doubt in my mind he would have stuck around because I'm sure like obviously he made it clear that this is where he wants to be, but at the same time like I don't
when you haven't heard him complain about the role.
Monies.
You haven't heard him complain about that, like going to be a number 2, because Puka's clearly way better than him. I mean, that just is what it is.
Yeah.
So I was, as glad as I will be to see him not in the NFC West. God forbid he goes to Arizona. But like as glad as I am to see him leave. Definitely get that that's a little bit sad. And I think, though, at this point in the career, we can't expect him to be anything more, though, than an Adam Thielen number 2, which isn't bad either.
I think you'll probably find, obviously, it kind of depends on whether it works out this way or not. But obviously, they've talked about wanting to get him to a destination that is, a place where he can still compete. And so somewhere in the teams that can compete, but teams that have a younger quarterback who might want a friendly receiver, and that's why I've been seeing a lot of Texans stuff floating around.
Broncos.
Broncos.
Yeah, Broncos wouldn't be bad either, but Texans have been the one that I've been seeing popping around the most.
Texans makes way too much sense because they got the dollars that they spent on Diggs that they're not going to spend going forward. And you can pay him $14 million or $16 million for a season and not feel bad about it because there's no long-term ramification. And it fills an obvious need that Diggs wasn't able to with injury. So,
and again, quarterback-friendly guy,
right?
Good locker room guy, obviously, good run blocker still. And so to put that in a situation where I think we all feel that Stroud kind of came in with a sophomore slump to kind of pull out of that first third season. That wouldn't be a bad option there. And again, it's hard to say that they're going to be competing in the AFC because, as we'll eventually talk about here, getting into the Super Bowl, like the AFC is pretty packed and there's a certain run of guys you have to get through in the AFC. But, that would be a place where I would not feel bad watching him go there. I just don't want him to get, relegated to some team who has no chance to compete. No team that's going to be exciting enough to watch or give him some opportunities to show what he has left in the tank. But obviously, I was a little caught off guard, but it wasn't a complete shock given the fact that we had those trade rumors kind of in the middle of the season. I think maybe you get a better package if you do that, but I also don't know if you end up getting to where we got to in this season if you don't have a guy like that in your locker room and on the field, contributing in what little amounts he did this season. So sad to see him go, but I'm glad we were still able to at least have another playoff run, make it kind of interesting there at the end of that Eagles game. But he's one of my favorite Rams of all time. So sucks to see him go, but such is the sport.
It's a business.
As big of a LeBron fan I am, I have to understand that not every player is going to play till they're 80 years old. So it sucks that it's hitting, but it is what it is. And we go into next season, and I, for once in my life as a fan of a sports team, feel like I actually have a team in a front office that's like competent. Because, as we know, the Portland Trailblazers aren't so much that at the moment. And that's really the only other team I pay attention to. So knowing that the Rams are at least like,
hey,
I can
three
trust
out of the
them.
last four, though. 3 out of the last 4.
Yeah.
And
So
Won an overtime game the other night.
Jamison
they've actually won
also,
like 8 of the last 9 or something. But
yeah, Jamison also with the Rams, they're willing to have Cooper Kupp in the last. I mean, he has one of the greatest receiving years ever.
he is the
But if you
greatest.
think
I
about,
don't think it's like the most yards ever in a full
great.
season, including
Yeah.
postseason, Super Bowl win, Super Bowl MVP. All right, let's
Yeah.
just get that straight.
So okay, he's got the greatest receiver season ever.
Yeah.
But if you look at at the last 5 years, he's got that season. But with the amount of injuries, they're having the hard conversation. And if you think about recently what this organization's done, like when Von Miller left, everyone was like, really? They didn't bring back Odell. They traded Jared Goff. They've been right every time they've had these hard decisions.
Yep.
Everyone's like, oh, Aaron Donald left. And yeah, that one sucked and he retired. And then Jared Verse shows up and is a stud. And it's like, oh. And then that whole D line's so if anything, you look at the Rams and you go, they've got to just know we can get someone to replace him for we can get 3 guys for what we're paying Coop.
Well, and to that point too, man, they're not in a situation where this team isn't winning right now. The depth is there. The defensive line is young. They can go and replace him in the draft right now. The Rams really could. There's not a lot of missing depth for them. Some weaknesses that came up a little bit in the playoffs when you're playing that elite stuff. It's particularly there's clearly a little work to do in the secondary. And there's some other spots of need for them, but this is all addressable. And as is the wide receiver position, they can afford to spend one of their first 2 picks on a wide receiver and then go handle that other stuff that is mainly on the offensive side of the ball. Because they've got a stud running back, they've got a stud at wideout. They got a top 2 or 3. I love having that conversation right now about what Puka is compared to, you want to have the Jamar and Justin Jefferson conversation. Well, he's right there. He's absolutely right there.
If you were to average out his production for the games he did play, he was basically 1 or 2 in most categories last season. So
and they've got the quarterback spot handled at least for the foreseeable future. See what that looks like. But so they've got the big components. It's just some depth, and you can afford it, like I said, on a wide receiver in the draft. So RIP to Cup's time in LA. We wanted to give Jamison a few moments to mourn openly. Credit to him for not doing weeping, but I'm sure you got that out when the post came
I
out
did
the other day.
get back from walking the dog yesterday when one of my friends texted me before I even saw it. He's like, "I'm sorry about the bad news." And I pulled it up and saw what it was about, and I just came home and sat down for 20 minutes and just kind of scrolled through all the posts. I'm like, oh well, That sucks.
His
But
dog that's named Warner, by the way.
yeah.
My BFF. But here's the thing too with like this is what like dynasties do. I'm not saying the Rams are a dynasty, but what I am saying is like these great organizations, they do this. The Patriots moved off from guys.
Belichick, yeah.
They moved off of
Ruthless.
guys a couple years early before they probably could have or they needed to in that sense. You get ahead of these things, you make the decision early. It keeps your Super Bowl window open. It keeps your ability to get into the playoffs, make deep runs. It keeps them open by making these hard decisions. When you someone like a Jerry Jones who overpays for guys, you know, that kind of stuff and holds on to guys way too long, pays them early, all those kind of things. We see the difference in where organizations are going, where you see someone like a Cowboys and where a team like the Rams has been able to, maybe they had like a down year, but they've been able to keep winning and get into playoffs and win 9-10 games and continue their success, continue success in some way. It's because they're able to make these decisions and pivot when they need to and recognizing when they need to.
Yeah. And I mean, last year, we lose Aaron Donald. This year, we lose Cooper Kupp. Those are two parts of that Super Bowl run. And if it's anything like last season, I don't think the void that needs to be filled with Kupp is going to be the same as it is with Aaron Donald. But I mean, we were still able to go in and kind of more or less mitigate that with some of our young guys. And so, with McVay at the helm, with Stafford at the quarterback, and you got Puka and Kyron Williams, like I'm not feeling like, ooh, this is a loss, but it more just sucks than it is like, ooh, our team got objectively worse. And plus, doesn't go to mention that we are LA, and LA, when you're a good team and you have a good coach, it's easy to also lure guys to LA. So who knows what's going to happen? It sucks, but I actually weirdly feel confident that we're going to be able to go into next season and things are going to be just fine as long as we stay healthy, of course.
Yeah. Well, and I think you have every reason to, like you said, with the guy at the top, giving you nothing but confidence since the day he took the helm, just winning games. And, I did not think your team was going to win as many games as they did this year, but I also did not think that my team was going to suck as bad as it did all year. So, oops. But
can I get an amen for that?
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
No, not for me.
Yeah, we're always preying on your team's downfall, Matt.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't care.
It's what unifies the rest of us.
I mean, enjoy your togetherness. I want to get into some fun stuff now that we're done mourning. I want to get straight into the Super Bowl props. And if you would not mind, Grant, just taking the responses here, I'm going to read through them. I know I didn't necessarily set that up, so if you got half a beat to jump in the dock and go, I would appreciate it. Normally our good buddy Mike would do that for us, but he is not with us tonight.
Is it in the stats? The links?
No, I'm gonna call him out.
Okay.
I figured if I call it out, it'll give us enough time to put it in there.
Okay. All right. I guess let's go Jamison first then.
Okay. So first one, we're before the game even begins. National anthem over under is 120.5 seconds. Do you guys know who's doing the national anthem? It's Baptiste.
Oh, okay.
John Baptiste is doing it.
I had a whole last year when we did this. There was like a whole thing about how it's like never gone over a certain amount of time, really. But I think I'm going to, you said it's 120 and a half seconds?
120 and a half, yeah.
I am inclined to take the under.
Okay.
In this one. I'm going to take the under.
I am putting this into our pick 'em where we have our names. So you're going under?
Mm-hmm. Basically under 2 minutes.
There you go. All right. Brogan. Over, under.
I'm going to say over because he has written scores for movies, so I think he's going to try to turn it into like a show. I'm going to go over.
Okay. Well, first of all, no hate because I think the dude's super talented. But I just want to give props to one more time to the greatest national anthem of all time, which was last year. and Chris Stapleton.
That was
that was the last Eagles.
That was the
Eagles.
last
Eagles.
No, that was last
Chiefs
Eagles
Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that was the other one.
Yeah, I don't know who it was last year, but Chris Stapleton was Eagles.
Oh, dude, I didn't watch it last year. That's why it's not in my head. Dang it, because I got there like as the game was starting because I was running back from that camp that we just did. All right. Anyway, that is the greatest national anthem of all time. That's really what I wanted to say. No, I feel like they keep speeding it up, so I'm gonna take the under. It might not be his decision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it might be something like that. I don't disagree.
Someone's in his ears yelling at him like, "Hustle this
personally,
up!"
Personally,
bro, this stuff is
like,
so tracked though. They know exactly how long that thing's gonna be already.
And me personally, it's like I don't think it doesn't need to be that long. Okay, like it should only be like a minute and a half. Like you don't have to make this a whole like you're gonna have a whole halftime show.
Well, on tempo, it's 113 seconds.
So
original tempo.
Did when they count these things, like the length, is it right when music starts? Is it like because like usually some sort? Okay, so it's not like when they start singing. It's like right when, after the announcer does this whole like
that song starts with
your
the vocal though.
I think it starts when they say, "Oh,
yeah,
say can you see?"
Oh, yeah, right in there.
Okay. I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be. I mean, I'm leaning towards over. I'll just say now I'm leaning towards over because. Like Brogan said, what if there's like some little cinematic little thing in the beginning, like a 7 or 8 seconds, 5 seconds that before it actually starts. So I'm going over. I'm with Brogan. I'm going over.
If it's over 2 minutes, we need to revisit this as a society and say, hey, the national anthem does not need to be like a 2.5 minute song. Okay.
I'm in agreement there.
Also, this won't be the only national anthem. I just saw that they're going to do I think they're also doing the, what is it called?
Is it like America the Beautiful or something like that?
Yeah, America the Beautiful and
yeah.
they're
doing another nation's anthem?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it's the Black national anthem. I can't remember.
Oh yeah, that's right. Song. That's right. They do that. They've been doing that the last couple of years too.
What's the name of that song? Yeah.
Do they have separate bets?
Oh, it's like something about voices. Like
yeah.
I don't remember it.
This is embarrassing. Okay. But yeah. So there's going to be 3 of them.
We'll clip that out. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Clip it out. Why?
No,
bro. I
said it was embarrassing, so I was going to clip it out for him. But you leave all my embarrassing crap in there,
dude. I don't care.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'm chilling.
All right, Grant, you're going over. So that's it for the first one. Okay.
I am going over.
I was giving Grant time here and not pushing you guys. I'll make you go faster on the remaining ones.
Okay.
All right. Result of the coin toss. Heads or tails. Not who will win it. Heads or tails. I'm a tails never fails guy. That's me. So I'm going to take it every time.
Okay. Tails. Let's go Brogan.
Tails.
Okay.
Heads wets the bed.
Ooh.
Okay.
50-50.
See, with this one, with National Anthem, you guys had more to say. So now I'm
catching up.
I'm frantically going.
We'll discuss.
Yes.
What's your favorite quarter, guys? 1976 is a winner, man.
Okay. Tails. Jamison, how about you?
I'm generally a tails never fails guy, but yeah, I'm going with the heads this year.
Going Oppo.
Oh.
Yeah. I really am.
Okay, and then I will go tails as well. That's usually that's how I run it.
Yeah.
So
I zagged.
That's right. Yeah.
I zagged on the 50.
Was that a spiritual zag or was that just a?
It kind of is because, like I said, I am a tails guy generally. So
it's fair. That is fair.
There's something in the air here. It's a 3-peat, so I think there's going to be something a little wonky, and it's going to start with the coin toss.
Yeah.
Shivers. All right, let's go to halftime. Will Kendrick Lamar play more than 10.5 songs?
Oh gosh, how long do they have?
I think
they usually do like a medley.
Yeah, they do a massive medley. I mean, it goes one to the next. By the way, this dude won 5 Grammys this week.
Yeah,
that timed out well.
Yeah.
Drake
is still in shambles, bro. He's still.
All you have to do is insult Drake.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys should see the odds, by the way, on if Drake is going to be in the halftime show with him. It's not good. It's not good.
That's funny.
And
I
a
will
Drake
go.
impersonator, maybe.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh,
Oh,
dude.
that'd be
Behind
legit.
bars.
Or if he uses like the hologram,
Oh, that's
that'd be
the
so sick.
Drake
Ultimate
would finally
diss.
have like a valid lawsuit if that were the case.
Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're in litigation right now.
yeah.
Pretty
Okay, hold on. I'm still getting this.
All right, 10 and a half songs. 10 and a half songs. Let's go. Let's just go Jamison.
Um, I think I'm gonna take the under only because I don't know. I think they're gonna want to stick to some of the songs a little bit longer than they might like bounce off of like some other artists that might only have like we wouldn't really only play like 30 seconds of the song. They might stick around with some of Kendrick's a little bit more. But I do think it's gonna be like 10, but not like 11. So I'm gonna take the under.
So I guess I was reading on this. I guess in years past, like Katy Perry hit the over because she had
Her
all
Super Bowl
those
show
number one
was
bangers.
awesome.
Hers was incredible.
Yeah, I'll always remember that.
That's an artist that I would not mind them. I can't believe I'm saying that aloud, but like bring her back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
she
that
did a good
show,
job.
The Lion, bro.
yeah. I'll always remember that. Yeah,
That was
Because
fantastic.
it was a legit performance. It wasn't just a concert.
Yep.
yeah.
No, it was really good. But yeah, she hit the over, and then I think Coldplay hit the over. That one hit like the over on number of songs because that was like the medley of people, right?
Mhm.
But it went over the 10 and a half that year. Because that was that Beyonce and Coldplay
And Bruno Mars. It was
Showed up,
their
yeah.
second time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but that one hit the over. So there's been a few in years very recently, and then the rap one, all the rap stars, that one
Back
hit
in
the
LA?
over too. Yep.
Well, yeah, because like everyone did a song
Dre,
there.
Snoop,
Had to give
50,
everybody.
50.
Eminem, Anderson
Yep.
.Paak,
Mary
Yep.
J.
Super
yeah.
Bowl, dub, just a little
Yeah.
something for the West Side.
Mary
That's
J's
overweight.
been in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
She was in the one with Katy Perry too.
Mhm.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I was making an appearance. Oh, I didn't remember that. Dude, I don't know. I might.
Nope.
Because I'm trying to
Sorry.
think.
Second
I'm
guess.
trying to think for my guess here. I'm trying to think because like obviously Kendrick's like the biggest name right now, but like he doesn't have a lot of like bop songs. Like a lot of his songs are very introspective. Like he's got his bangers, like his greatest hits that he'll circle, but like I don't know if he's not going to play anything off of like Mr. Morale or things like that. So I don't know. I'm gonna go over. I'm going over.
Bro, you did not just say he doesn't have a lot of bop songs.
No, no. I'm saying ones that are commercial that are going to. Yes, he's got his hits. He's got them. But what I'm saying is the totality
Dude, at
of
the
his.
Grammys, they all were just screaming A minor.
To me,
Well,
it really depends on
half
how
of
long
it-
they're gonna let Not Like Us ride, because if they only
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
gloss over it and like only really do the hook, then it's like, okay, well then there's probably gonna be like an extra couple songs to make over it. But if they actually just let him get into like calling Drake a pedophile in front of millions of people, then that's gonna take up some time.
They're
So,
gonna if they let him do it at the Grammys, they've got to let him hit the A minor part, and that whole stadium
crowd.
They Not Like Us.
Yeah.
That whole stadium's gonna
Yeah.
be bumping.
I think he's gonna go over. I think he's gonna go over. I think
Okay.
there's a lot off his new album that really are crowd pleasers that he's gonna
That's true.
run it back. So
Am I the only one that
That's
didn't
true.
go yet? I can't remember.
no,
I
Brogan
haven't.
hasn't gone yet.
Okay. Brogan, go ahead.
I think over just because rap, I think it's a little easier to hit multiple songs in a row. I will say there's two things that I think will cause it to go under. Is if they let him do the full Not Like Us, and then they're bringing out SZA as
So they're
well
gonna
with him.
they're gonna do
Yeah.
that
And
song.
I think they're gonna have
That's
him do
true.
Stars, like do an extended part of that. 'Cause
Oh,
they've
for
done
Black
this a couple
Panther.
times. Yeah, because they did this with Justin Timberlake, where he ended on the Troll song for like 2 minutes because there's a lot of kids watching it. So if they
Yep.
they might have him end on that because it's more family friendly. But I still think the over. I think he's just gonna. He'll probably, knowing Kendrick, everything's gonna be connected. So all the titles of his songs are gonna say some story.
He's gonna have a medley of all of his big albums.
Yeah.
Like
That's funny.
yeah. Look, yeah, it's gonna hit
Uh,
a bunch.
I'm just gonna go Oppo for Oppo. I'm just gonna take the under just to go Oppo. No
the more I
real
think about
reason.
it, I think I might go over, but I'm sticking with the under.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys make a good case. I totally could see it happening. Obviously, it happened in the last time that we did the rap medley. So I told it could, but maybe they
Now,
let
are
him say
we
the things that Jamison said he might say, and if
now
they
are
let it get
we
that far, that eats up that time.
are we saying it has to be the actual song? Because like,
Or
It's
like a
more than
what if
snippet.
10
he
seconds.
what if
More
he
than
does
10
the
seconds.
what if he does like the beat of one song but the lyrics of another song?
No, it would only qualify the lyrics.
Okay,
Because,
okay.
yeah,
Then
he has to perform 10 seconds of that song.
For it to count?
okay.
In my mind, the
Yeah.
lyrics override. Oh,
Because you see, like that's the
that's
problem. That
tough.
that's not the
Crud.
problem. But with rap, there's so like if he's got a DJ, like there's so many versions he could do where you're like,
Fair.
well, he just did 20 songs but on 4 beats. Like so
I know it's fair. It's fair. I don't know how they do that, but this is an actual FanDuel bet. So
okay.
but
Okay.
it did say to any 10 seconds of each song. So maybe they quantify both into that and maybe he gets a double up because of that. And if I knew that was the rule, then I'd be taking the over. But I'm just going with what I know. All right. Let's get into two more good ones here. Will the total number of points be odd or even?
Ooh.
Total number. I feel like if you think about, because point totals often are in relation to field goals and touchdowns, of course, but like we don't get a lot of 2-point conversions. That would keep it in the evens a little more. Then when you add the numbers together, there's no real logic here, is there? I'm just making crap up in my head and out loud.
This is a 50-50. I mean, all these are
24
50-50 shots.
21, 27 24, 30. I'm going to go odd.
I was thinking odd too.
I think the specific ones that are related end up odd often. I mean, you could have like a 30-24 or something like that, but and are we expecting this to be a one score game as well? I mean, that's not a prop bet, but like I'm of that mindset. I know that's what the
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the
Chiefs are
Chiefs.
like
It
a one
can't
and a
be
half.
obvious.
Yeah, and if it's going to be a one-score game, then, that means the Chiefs are going to win, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but, if you
Well,
do
no,
think it's
that
going to be a one-score game.
it's the Chiefs. It
Yeah.
can't be obvious. It has to come down to the wire that everyone goes, wait a minute, how did they? Oh, he's Patrick Mahomes. Well, no, someone looked at him and they gave him a penalty. So
Yeah.
it has
I
to be
love that you're
close.
wearing that hat saying that. That does
Yeah,
our
dude.
hearts some good.
Dude, absolutely, bro.
I
We're
went,
gonna
I went
confuse
down the
people watching this.
conspiracy. I went down the conspiracy track last week. I was in mourning. I don't know. I had a moment while we were doing the episode last week. I was like, dude, it's got to be real.
I think it's gonna be odd because the number nope, sorry. I think it's gonna be even because the number 22 is even, and somehow or another Taylor Swift is gonna have an impact on the
Shoot
number
me.
because at the end of the game, Travis is gonna propose. So
No,
I think it'll be
Dang it.
even.
One thing.
Dang you.
One
That is
thing.
my next prop bet.
No, I think another one you add in not in there is Taylor Swift going to appear in the halftime show and do their version of Bad Blood with Kendrick.
That'd be so
No.
fire, dude. That
That
song
actually
kind of flat.
Yeah,
That song kind of bump.
it kind of does. It kind of does. Only
I'm
that
turning
version.
that off. I'm
But-
turning it off.
Okay,
I don't want to see her.
so Brogan, so you're going even.
Mhm.
Okay, Jameson, where you leaning?
I was also going to go odd.
You're gonna go odd.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You with me?
I'm gonna go even. I think also just to kind of split it, just to kind of see where it lands.
Okay.
I don't know, two field goals, then 2 touchdowns. That makes it. I don't know. That makes it even. So that's just where I'm gonna go. Yep. So that's that one. All right, Matt.
Does Kelsey drop the knee? I wasn't kidding. That was my real prop bet. Does Kelsey drop the knee after the Super Bowl win? I mean, I would love to put the double up. There is a bet out there. This is not a joke. I saw this one that he drops the knee after the win on the field and he simultaneously retires. That one is too heavy for this. We're just going to go, does he drop the knee? I have my answer, but I'd like to go last. So, as soon as somebody wants to take it, go for it.
I'm gonna say no.
You don't need to explain that. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't. I just think no. I think as much as you know the high school football guy analogy for, oh, this is like what she would have wanted, kind of the fairy tale story. Like I do think that it gets to a point where it's like, hey, like if this was a real relationship, I kind of want it to be like an actual real proposal where we're like,
a nice
someplace
dinner,
nice,
go somewhere,
yeah, and
yeah.
we're both insanely rich and famous. Like maybe this is the one private thing that they would both want to have. So I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Grant.
Yeah, I'm going no too. I think, yeah. I mean, dude, think about it. They were all coy about their relationship from the beginning about like, is this a thing or not? Because there was like the rumors going around, and Travis Kelce was like, oh, I went to her show and I didn't get her number, and then like they were like dancing around it for like a few months, or maybe a couple of weeks. I don't know. That kind of blurred together for me. But I'm going no because I think they'll probably just want to keep that private. Because also maybe they don't win. So then why would he do it?
Brogan.
Hey, I just lost and I feel terrible. Do you want to?
Dude,
Would you? Will you marry me?
If the NFL is rigged, credit to Roger Goodell's team for setting that one up. If he does it, can you imagine the viewership?
I also think too, because he's a good teammate, and I don't think he's gonna want to dominate the team, because that absolutely would dominate like the headline. Like think about it. Like come on, that would dominate the headline. It reaches more people because you have the whole Taylor Swift fan base.
Which
that
Super
don't
Bowl
watch.
was that? That was the one where Taylor got engaged.
Like I think
Travis is really good about making the podcast that he does, the game show that he does, the guest appearances that he does. He does a really good job of making that all about the team.
Well,
point made.
You know what? Even though I know it's a no, I believe in the drama of the Kansas City Chiefs.
I thought you were going to say, I believe in love, guys. I just believe in love.
Dude, are you kidding? No. Real love is proposing over McDonald's fries like I did. That's real love. I believe.
Preach that story. Let's go.
I believe in the drama of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I believe.
All right. We got a yes here.
I can see it. Taylor and Travis are like this, looking at the ring, and Andy Reid is looking at a cheeseburger, and it's like the closing shot.
What if it's in a Big Mac shell, like with a clamshell?
It'd get eaten, bro. Travis knows that ring is nowhere close to Andy Reid, dude. There's no way, bro.
That's funny.
That is so good.
All right, Matt.
I'm just thinking. Okay, I know Jamison has not done the one knee dance. But now that you brought it up, Brogan proposed over McDonald's. I proposed at the end of a youth group game in which my wife got spun around a whole bunch of times and was definitely like dizzy when I hit the knee. Grant did it during a photo shoot.
Yep.
Which yeah.
What smart aleck comment were you about to make?
No, I wasn't. I was just like I was just thinking like. Are we the type of people that should give Jamison that advice? When he's ready to take the one knee dance. I don't know. I don't feel like Brogan should.
No.
I love you, but
do it over Wendy's fries. They're better.
There's the saint. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, as long as it's not over In-N-Out fries, that's really all that matters.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's a breakup.
That's a
if
no.
If the guy pulls up the In-N-Out, it's over. But see, okay. This happened during the Boise State Oklahoma bowl game years ago. The running back proposed.
Oh yeah, Ian
really
Johnson.
Special moment.
I remember his name. Yep. It was great.
That wasn't Taylor Swift.
Yeah, there's that.
No,
it was a cheerleader from the team.
I also think that they don't really have at this point anything to gain from doing it there, because like what's it going to do? Add more money to the infinite pile of money that they have, or notoriety that they already have? Like,
yep.
I think they can have one for themselves. They already have more money than God, so
yeah. That it's. Yeah, I will say though, it would be perfect writing.
The story is the headlines would go nuts.
Perfect.
It would be incredibly cliche.
Absolutely. I'm going to say no, but it's not for the reason that anybody else said. My reason is that they're never getting married. It's never happening. Like
Yeah.
it won't.
Fair
Is
point.
no because there is no financial like win here for either of them. If the relationship's just ongoing to whatever extent, and then one day they break up when it becomes financially relevant, that makes the most sense here. She has no reason to marry anybody.
Yeah.
Like financially. I'm not saying she shouldn't. We're all advocates of marriage, believe in that.
But the morality is out of this already. So
yes, we're taking the morality.
Yeah. Yes,
so I'm just saying, I don't think they're ever getting married. So I'm going to say it's a no, but only for that reason. But if they want to do it, go for it and everything. Cool.
Well, they could get engaged and not get married.
They could do that too.
Fair.
Why are you always throwing the good wrench in there, bro? That's a solid wrench.
I'm just
I gotta give it to you. Like that is. No, I think it'll. Well, we'll get to the rest of the Super Bowl stuff in a little bit, but I do think that to Brogan's point, though, they're going to find a way, 100%, to make it about them at some point. I don't even know if she'd come down on the field though.
No, she did. She did last year.
She did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Eventually made its way down there, right before.
As you guys can imagine, I did not watch that part.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you probably turned the TV off pretty much right when. Yeah.
I went for a 5 minute walk.
Can you maybe like explain why
you
would have turned it off then? I'm having a hard time remembering like exactly what happened at the end.
It was a Super Bowl, dude. It's a Super Bowl.
Cooper Kupp's not going to play for the Rams anymore. Shut up.
That's all right. He got us a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Moving on, we can talk about the awards, the NFL honors that's happening. Is it Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday? Yeah. I remember, didn't it used to happen like the day before the Super Bowl? Like the night before?
I think it's been the Thursday for a while.
I always thought that it happened
on
Saturday.
I remember it happening like the night before because I remember a joke being made like about like something tomorrow. I remember
like when Matt Ryan won MVP, obviously he was playing Super Bowl. He wasn't there because obviously it was the night before Super Bowl. Like I swear I thought they used to happen like night before. Maybe it was just a couple times, but
he also was at that Super Bowl only half the time as well.
Yeah. No kidding. Well, you want to talk about Super Bowl's an embarrassment, Matt?
Listen,
that takes the cake. Like that in my team Super Bowl.
Which is worse? You're the Seahawks and you have the Super Bowl win, or you're the Falcons?
I think
the Falcons.
I think the Falcons one is
really
because here's the thing. The for all intents and purposes, the way it happened, you're a yard away, but you also didn't have the lead. The Falcons had the lead, and like
the boogeyman came for him.
3 touchdowns and a field goal lead.
Yeah, like that's to me that there's a little bit more there where like you're a Falcons fan, and it's the slow death. Like it's the death by 1,000 cuts. As opposed to me, it was just
27-3 jokes.
Bro,
like,
it was
they're
just
fantastic.
Seahawks lost. It was just like a bazooka to the forehead. Like that's what that was. It was just like, it's over. Well, it's done.
It was Russ trying to say I'm better than the Legion of Boom, and you're not.
No,
it was Darrell Bevel and Pete Carroll's play calling is what it was. I mean Russ wasn't play.
There was no O on that one. There was no option. That was literally the call.
Yeah.
So I mean, and they were making it. You can see him hand to helmet listening while running, and he goes up and calls it, and then does what he does, and Malcolm Butler does something incredible that made my day. And I died laughing in that room with all those Seahawk fans. That was great.
This is the Super Bowl episode. Like the worst Super Bowls, it's I mean, in terms of like outcome, heartbreaking, just in general, it's the Falcons, it's Seahawks one, and then is it the Titans?
Niners. Reach? Well, I was gonna say the Niners Ravens with the power shutting off.
Yeah, but remember the Niners were getting beat in that game, and they came back.
Yeah,
I mean if you're talking like devastating.
If you're a Broncos fan, that year where you got blown out by the Seahawks was like unwatchable.
Yeah, but that game was over fast.
It was over the first play, bro. First play, it was a safety, and then it just was never. I'm trying to think of like heartbreaking losses. Like
I don't know if you're a Bills fan, you should pick any year from 1990
I mean,
to
if
1993.
if you are the Bengals, you might have had your heart broken by now former Ram Cooper Kupp and that game-winning touchdown and then the sack.
But I don't think what's hard with that Bengals one is it's more like because everyone points to like Jamar Chase was open. It's like, okay, yeah, but Aaron Donald beat a double team. So it's that you get into like the woulda, shoulda, coulda. I think the Titans one is a good one. I think that's a
because that was against the Rams, right?
Yep.
Yeah, where they
Kurt
held
Warner,
them like
right?
2 yards early, like held them back. Trying to think, but I'm trying to think of like the heartbreaking that comes down to like a moment, or like a
the so this one was just bad for the fans. It was that Patriots Rams Super Bowl that was like the most boring game of all time.
Oh, that sucked. Yeah.
that was awful. Yeah,
That was a horrible game. That was devastating for us.
Yeah, that was just devastating to watch, dude.
That was probably even devastating for Patriots fans in some way. They're like, oh my gosh, we're not going to win this game either. Like for a long time.
I mean, the if you're on the wrong side of this, the Eagles Chiefs the last time, like that was pretty incredible.
I mean, the Eagles winning theirs with Nick Foles as quarterback, like Tom Brady. Like, how do you choke that one away?
500 yards, still lost.
Yep. Yeah.
So I mean, there's I don't know. There's a lot of good ones. I would say all time like the most devastating last second thing is definitely the Seahawks though.
Yeah. If you're boiling down to one play,
yeah. If we're going down to like last second, this is devastating walk off. That is brutal. Yeah. There is no worse one than that.
No, I think this one isn't worse, but it's just it's almost as devastating. Is the Cardinals against the Steelers? The one where Holmes caught that pass. Yeah. Because I think if you're the Cardinals, you were like, what else could we have done in that game to win?
Fair.
You know? But that's not a bad call. That is, we got beat. It was just devastating.
That's Harrison, right?
Yeah, Harrison had the pick, and then Holmes
right before halftime.
Yep. Santonio Holmes in the back corner of the end zone.
But also right before that, Larry Fitzgerald had that insane catch and run. Like the Cardinals did everything that game.
Oh, how about the Giants taking away the perfect season, guys?
Duh.
Those two catches back to back.
The helmet catch, and then
yeah.
I mean that's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that flick to the corner, I mean, I don't know, understand how bro's that wide open.
Well, with the helmet catch, like I think the more impressive part is Eli Manning escaping like every sack imaginable.
That gets lost every time we talk about that.
That's the more impressive part. Like he broke like 4 different sacks on that play to make that happen.
That almost gets blown dead like these days.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seriously.
No kidding.
You're not wrong.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Like you might get early whistled on that one.
Yeah.
No, there's been some pretty good ones. I mean, we got a pretty good top 3 there. I mean, and an obvious one on most devastating. But I think to your credit, when you started the convo there, it was, bringing up Atlanta and like what's a worse loss. I still think that the worst loss is the team that had it in the bag. I think that's what Grant pointed out there at the beginning of that convo is like clearly
they were dominating. They were dominating the whole game.
Mm-hmm. I've never told everybody to just shut up and like pay attention like in the beginning of the fourth quarter because you saw it coming for so long. I was in a room full of like 45, 50 people, something like that. And I was like, everybody stop talking, watch the screen. You are watching history. Yeah. You will never forget this game.
No.
Because I knew it was coming. You knew it was coming. By the time we saw that third quarter get encapsulated and Tom Brady just start the utter destruction of that team, it was like, holy cow, this is amazing. But all-timer.
Also, one of the most forgotten plays is the Julio Jones catch in that Super Bowl. That catch was insane.
Yeah.
And we don't talk about it. We talk about the Edelman catch, which was, I mean, you have some of the most impressive catches ever, but we only talk about the winning catch right there.
Which is the same in the Seahawks one against the Patriots. That Jermaine Kearse catch gets forgotten.
Because 2 plays later. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's
true. That was a setup, huh?
Dude, when that happened, I was screaming when I'm like, he caught that. Like, and I'm like running. I'm like, oh, I think I even probably said it. Like, we're gonna march down and score right now. Like, this is happening. Yeah. Ugh, that'll never not hurt. I don't care what Seahawks fans say. That always hurts every time I see it.
Always and forever.
It'll always hurt.
Yep.
You never get over something like that.
Oh, I will never forget Drake Greenlaw jacking up his Achilles, trying to run on the field. Mm-hmm. As soon as he hit the ground, so did my heart. Like, I'll never forget. If it's your team and it's that moment for your team, and I think most every team in the league, has suffered that moment. The Cardinals aside, like every team's had that big moment that one just kills them. Yep. And for me personally, it was that. I also remembered for some stupid reason my team Colin Kaepernick throwing the ball into the corner to Michael Crabtree for absolutely no reason, and them throwing the ball 3 times in a row for no reason when you have Frank Gore eating the Seahawks defense. And
so it happens when you try return with a sorry receiver like Crabtree. That's the result you're gonna get.
Mother of God, I hate that interview more than anything that exists.
So good.
But anyway, no, like we all have that devastating moment. I want to take a bit and talk about those awards and talk about some good stuff that happened over the course of the year. Get into Defensive Rookie of the Year and start there. We're going to hit maybe a little bit of the PFF grades to kind of justify some of our feelings here and talk about some of these things. Because you got to compare players from different positions and kind of stack up both stats and then overall performance. We're going to start off Defensive Rookie of the Year looking at Cooper DeJean, who played corner this year for Philly. We all knew that was a home run pick. We said that immediately. We were like, dang it. Because all of us wanted that guy on our team. Yeah. All of us. Cooper DeJean has also been a returner this year. That's been kind of mixed reviews. I mean, he's done a solid job, but returning in the NFL is not what it used to be. With all of the new rules that are incorporated into it. And really you have some opportunity on punts, but like kick returns these days is not really a thing. That's just a guy that can hold on to the ball real well and
get you 5 yards.
Yeah, seriously, get you maybe to the 27 or the 28, But he did a great job, came away with an 82.7 run cover. 82.7 overall. In run, he had a 90.8. And coverage was 79.3. Not bad at all for a rookie. Like, that's way up there. Played a total of 626 snaps. That's a lot of football. And then his passer rating allowed was an 82.2. Absolutely solid. I think he's got to be up there. We'll give the stats and then debate just a little bit. Braden Fisk from the Rams. It was an overall 56.5, but he's got 2 key stats that really justify him being up there, and that's that he had 9 sacks and 51 pressures. Those 2 right there, really good. He was fantastic against the pass, struggled against the run, though. We're shooting it straight, but did play a decent amount of football, especially for a defensive end. Also 662 snaps, outplayed even DeJean. Then you got Quinion Mitchell from Philly, had a 73.1 overall, did decent against the run with a 64, 74 coverage grade, about 5 points lower than Cooper's. But this, 954 defensive snaps. Bro was a starter. All day, every day, in a tough defense, for sure. Passer rating allowed was an 87. Again, super respectable. Cooper's was 82.2, just to compare those guys. If I was giving it, this would be really tough if we were just picking from those 2, because Mitchell played all those snaps, was taking on number ones constantly. They're always trying to line him up with number ones. Dude had to cover CD this year. He had to cover another guy that we're going to talk about in a moment in Neighbors, which is a stupid assignment.
Scary Terry had his best season.
Yep. Like, throw it all out there, man. Like, that was not easy.
That's 8 games against pretty solid number ones.
Yeah, and if we were just going off coverage, I'd just give it to Mitchell. The run grade on Cooper, granted, he does play slot, which does cover a lot more run than the outside, does give some justification for comparison, but I really would give it to Quinion just because of the snaps played and what he was asked to do if it was just between the 2. Going down, though, to our last 2 guys, Chop Robinson, outside linebacker from Miami, had a decent year for sure overall, but his pass rush 78.7, fantastic pass rush grade. And then he played 565 snaps, a little bit more normal, if you will, for a high effect player. Had 7 sacks, but had 56 pressures, out pressured Fisk by just a little bit on 100 less snaps I think that bears saying out loud. That's pretty impressive. But also, I will say he wasn't competing for time with his hands on the quarterback near as much in terms of there just wasn't a lot of other dudes on that line when you're looking at Fisk. But then the dude that I really want to take like 2 moments on because I think this one's tough. Jared Verse from the Rams at defensive tackle, 86.2, had the highest PFF of all these guys, and it's not really all that close. His pass rush was 83.7. His run D was 78.4. He played 833 snaps. That's crazy high for an interior defensive lineman rookie. Had 77 pressures on and 6 sacks. And you go, oh, well, he only had 6 sacks. That's a defensive tackle, not named Aaron Donald. And also, if we were, and I know we're not, equating his postseason presence, that dude was freaking terrifying.
Yeah, dude, he was in the Eagles. Dude, he was in the Eagles' backfield as much as Saquon was, dude.
Yeah.
Rams had 17 sacks in 2 games, and this dude had his hands on everybody the whole time.
Yeah. And I just want to say this too, because obviously I watched every Rams game this year. The whole story, especially the first half of the season for me with him and Braden to an extent too, is with those 77 pressures, you could say only 6 sacks, whatever. If you want to get that, again, you make a good point about him being an interior defensive lineman. So like, hey, it's not all about sacks all the time, but those 6 sacks were. It should have been like 14 sacks. Watching that, there were so many times at the beginning of the season where he would get pressure so frequently, but like just didn't have it yet to be able to finish it off. There were so many times where somebody just barely escaped. He couldn't finish a tackle, couldn't finish a play, but he's right there in their face all the time. And it was one of the things that really frustrated me about the defense at the beginning of the season when we're sitting there at 1-4. Felt like we just, we couldn't tackle, we couldn't finish anything. And so with those 6 sacks coming later in the season, still with those 77 pressures, and then again with where he's at on the defensive line and his impact in the postseason, which obviously isn't calculated here, I could not have been more thrilled with how he played this season.
Yeah, I think if I'm putting 2 on the table, I made a pretty strong case for Quinion. I think Quinion and Verse for me personally are my 2 top ones here, but I don't think there's a bad pick. I think he outplayed Fisk overall, even though Fisk has the 9 sacks. You could definitely equate 1 or 2 of those from the interior pressure and that getting pushed out by Jared Verse. So, defensive tackles generally don't get those numbers, but they certainly get credit from their teammates on the disruption that they cause, because we understand, you're trying to form a pocket, the shoes around the quarterback, and when you disrupt that middle, he's got nowhere to go, and those defensive ends often end up with the finish, but this dude just eats humans. I genuinely got to say it's Verse at the end of the day. I think there's just strong justification for that when you look at those PFF grades and how he truly performed, regardless of what the play call was. I mean, his rush to run grade is less than 5 points. That's fantastic for anybody. That's the way it should be. You should have something you do a little bit better. But the fact that he's getting that good of a pass rush grade as a rookie in the NFL, that's just crazy. Especially
on a defense that doesn't really
guy.
have any other guys that you're like, having to key in on.
No, Fisk was just a beneficiary, in my opinion, but a solid piece. Solid piece.
Exactly. And, the 2 of them together, obviously a fun story. But Jared Verse would, maybe it's a homer pick, but I think it's the pick for me. I would pick him as the defensive rookie of the year. That's also who I think ultimately will take that one home.
Dude, when you're drafted to a team and they go, hey, the guy that played your position last is going down as one of the greatest to ever do it. Like, there are people that make the argument he's the greatest defensive player ever, and you're like, well, okay, I can't fully argue. Like, you just say other names, and then he goes and plays like that. Like, he wasn't just like Chop Robinson played good on the Dolphins, but like you're like, okay, yeah, but they have a lot of good guys, and that defense carried that team at times. Like, but Verse, you're like, dude, like I I don't think it's close. I mean, Quinyon Mitchell did great. Jean did good, but like versus if toward the end of that year, as the more he got going, the more that team got going. Like
Yep.
that dude is a dude. Like as a Seahawk
Weirdly,
fan, you're like crap.
yeah.
Like you're like, dang, I
And
thought we lost 99 and we were like, oh, let's go. Nope, cool.
So
and
He
according
takes a
to
double too.
according to what I'm trying to find who had the most pressures. According to Fox Sports, he was eighth in the league.
Yeah.
He's above people like the
Dang.
only people above him is like Micah Parsons, Trey Hendrickson, who had a phenomenal year.
Right.
Chris Jones, Max Crosby. Those are the guys ahead of him in terms of pressures.
Yeah. It's just dumb. And none of those guys play his position.
yep.
Yeah,
None of
those
them.
are all edge or linebacker. Yeah.
Yep.
And Jamison brought up a good point. You could also you look at his first 5 games and then the rest.
Yep.
I mean, if you just go off of like the last 2 months of the season, he could be in the defensive player of the year conversation, not just defensive rookie.
Yeah.
He was terrifying.
How he played at the end.
He came out of their break phenomenal. Like the
Yeah,
adjustment was made, foot on gas, go.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It really was.
With the exception of that Bills game, what won us the division was our defense, weirdly enough. A defense that was not very good at all for that first half of the season. What really locked in was the defense, and he was a huge part of that. And so, but also I think it's worth noting, which is kind of funny how it ended up being this way in the playoffs. But of the 5 eligible people here, you have 2 Eagles and 2 Rams, and it just kind of goes to show that like these are organizations that know how to draft, and those players come in and make an instant impact.
And not just draft, but develop.
Yep.
Yes.
Bingo.
Yeah.
They know how to develop. Because the Eagles, you go down that line, you go down that whole defense. There's multiple guys that are still on their rookie contracts that are developing well.
Well, Jamison had said it. They are the cheapest defense. They're spending the least amount of money on defense than anybody else in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Rams.
So,
yep.
The Rams, yeah.
It doesn't sound like anybody has anything else that they would say, I think maybe this or maybe that. I think that's pretty clear. Like this one's pretty cut and dry for us. Switching sides of the ball, offensive rookie of the year. Again, I got PFF and stats here. I think this is at most a 2-horse race, personally, but let's see where it goes. I'm going to start off with what I view as the wild card. Okay, this is my personal viewpoint. I think that Brock Bowers is the wild card. I don't think he's the favorite. I think he's the wild card. Dude finishes with an 85.1 grade, which is stinking solid for a tight end, because often if you're a pass catcher like this guy is, you're not an elite blocker. He has been an above average blocker and a fantastic pass catcher. Ends up with 112 catches on a bad team.
Terrible.
Had to throw the ball to somebody, right? It was either him or Myers all year long. 112 catches, 1,194 yards, fantastic. And then 5 touchdowns, which is really the only knock anybody has on him. He didn't have high-end touchdown numbers, but this offense is a bottom 4 scoring offense in the league. They suck.
I also believe that he broke the rookie tight end catches record as well.
Yes.
He has the most ever for a tight end in the rookie season.
And to be, honestly, when we got to the halfway point in the year, nobody was shocked it was trending that direction because of how bad that team was and the fact that there was just nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Traded away Devonta, everything funneled his way.
The next 2 guys I'm going to say had fantastic years, period, for their position. Malik Neighbors, absolutely terrifying with 0 quarterback help, I might add. 109 catches, 1,204 yards, 7 touchdowns. Draft him next year in fantasy football. 100%. Draft him. Brian Thomas Jr. I think the surprise.
Most underappreciated on this list, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. We just thought he would go to Jacksonville and suck. But dude finishes with 87 catches, but he is a yak monster, 1,282 yards, 10 touchdowns. Also, go get him.
Yep.
Those guys deserve to be on this list, but I don't think either one of them's touching it because the next two people we're going to discuss are the biggest part of the conversation. The most important position in sports is quarterback, period. And Bo Nix in Denver takes a team that absolutely sucked and flips a script. Goes for 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, and then 13 interceptions only, better than 2-to-1 ratio. Fantastic for any starting quarterback in the NFL. Then he also gets 430 rushing yards and 4 more touchdowns on the ground, finishes with 33 total. Great numbers. And fantastic season.
Bo Nix is kind of the same conversation I'm about Jared Verse. Where like Bo Nix, like the first month of the season was terrible.
Yeah,
like,
you had some questions.
Like he was throwing multiple picks a game with no touchdown. He didn't throw his first touchdown until like week 3, I think.
Yep.
It was something like that. Like, and it was 1 touchdown to like 2 picks. Like he had a horrendous start, but for him to come alive and throw essentially 30, have over 30 touchdowns, and is incredible. What Sean Payton's done with him, what he's done with him, like what Bo Nix has done has been awesome.
Bo Nix made the Broncos fans forget about the $85 million cap hit that happened in the spring.
Yeah.
Hey.
Absolutely.
Like, you have to play so good for them to look like there are Broncos fans going, dude, our future's so bright. And they still have like a 30, 31. What is the math on that? Because it was 50 and 30, like on the 2 years. Yeah. They still have like a $30 million cap hit. And they're sitting there like, dude, we got a bright future.
Yep.
Like,
doesn't matter when you got your guy.
This is they got to the playoffs for the first time since they won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning.
Yep.
For some, they've even sniffed the playoffs.
Yep. 8 seasons. 8 seasons with nothing and got them there.
Finally have their answer.
I said this early. I'd have a lot of friends in the West Side here, like West Coast. We have a lot of people that are Bronco fans, just because they were back in the day the team to root for a time. If you lived above San Francisco and didn't like them, and John Elway was a dude and all that, and so a lot of Broncos fans. And I told a number of them, I'm like, listen. As a Duck guy who follows Bo Nix, I guarantee you he will get better as the season goes on. I said it. I can't tell you how many times. Sean Payton's offense is hard. It's literally, in my mind, the hardest offense to learn of all time. And it's because there's so many variables. Drew Brees is the only other dude that's played in it super well. So, I mean, it's just really hard. And Bo figured it out. Like, he legitimately figured out and led these guys to a playoff appearance. So, and
Bo's greatest skill is his intelligence, too.
Sure.
Like football IQ. That was his best strength as a player. He's not the most athletic, doesn't have the biggest arm, but, dude knows where to get the ball to.
Also, for fantasy next year, I'd pick up Troy Franklin because toward the end of the year, that connection started getting really strong. And Franklin might have one of those sophomore wide receiver seasons where you're like, oh crap, because they know each other. Yeah. And he was kind of coming on.
And quick reminder, after week 4, everybody was wondering where Courtland Sutton was getting traded to. Just want to point that out.
Right.
Everybody thought he was going somewhere. This show included. We're like, well, it's time.
Yeah, that's a team kind of like the Rams. Like, this is a guy who's been around for a while, but like he's getting on the wrong age. And they just need to kind of move on from there, get something from him.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that take on Troy Franklin, though. A lot of receivers, second year is better than the first. I mean, Malik and Brian Thomas are exceptions to the rule for sure. And so, a lot of dudes come alive in that second season. Also, Jayden Daniels, our last name on the list. I think... is he not just all of a sudden everybody's favorite football player? Number 1 selling jersey in the league. Mm-hmm. So much fun to watch. Dude, so much fun to root for. We love this story.
Matt, you and I both saw. We went to a Blazers game a couple weeks ago. We saw Jayden Daniels Commanders jersey in the stadium. And we were like at a Portland Trailblazer game.
It was the best thing we saw.
And
we're
just like, this is the most random. This is the last jersey you would have expected this year. But bro, it's shown up in NBA games.
We're in Portland, Oregon.
Essentially the furthest you can be away.
Yeah, and you're not you're not laughing at him. You're going, bro, I should get a Jayden
I love
Daniels
that jersey.
Like,
that thing looks sick.
Yeah.
Dude, he made what was like the worst and the franchise, and like the franchise that was the biggest joke for like years with their owner.
Mm-hmm.
He made him cool. Like their owner just said, we can't change commanders. It means something different. No, it's because Jayden Daniels is like, yeah, I like it. Everyone's like, oh, I like it then. Like literally, he changed that whole team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and talking about like PFF grades, he has the second highest rookie quarterback season ever.
Yep.
Like so, like that right there is like Russ is actually won at like 91.3 or something like that.
Had all them tools,
just barely above him. So like essentially, we're seeing like the great. But again, this I would take this season over because he got to the NFC Championship game. Like,
and
this
also
is the greatest.
Nothing near the defense that Russ had his rookie year.
Not even close.
No, this defense was abysmal. And
those are two different things.
And he played with his food with the Lions, like played with his food. Like
he
that
had to.
Wiped him.
This team went as Jayden Daniels went because
Absolutely
of how bad that defense was.
Because we saw him make play after play after play. Bro finishes with 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. That is a disgusting ratio. We're almost at the 3-1 there. And then 891 rushing yards with 6 more touchdowns. This is Lamar Jackson 2.0 with, I'm going to say, much better arm playmaking ability.
Yeah.
Because remember when Lamar was young, okay?
Yeah.
Remember where he started? It wasn't good. We were like, oh, he's a running quarterback.
Well, until his second season.
And then I understand, but different offensive philosophy. Switch some stuff up there from year 1 to year 2.
Lamar Jackson's an elite. He's now an elite passer. Like he's elite.
He's up there. He's up there. I have things to say about how they create space for him, but I mean, if you're wanting to literally, put the pin right in there. I mean, if he's got to fit it in a spot, this dude does it. I understand he has Scary Terry who makes him look good. Don't get me wrong. I'd love that Scary Terry had his career year with this kid this season. But I just think he fits the ball much better than Lamar did coming out of college, clearly. And so the future is unbelievably bright. Yeah. I just wish him all the health. And I would love to see my 49ers play in the NFC Championship game and sneak a 3-point win away from him or something like that next year. Like, I literally love this kid. If I'm picking with my heart, it's 100% Jayden Daniels.
I don't think it's
100%.
I don't think head or heart.
It's got to
head
be.
and heart. It's Jayden Daniels.
Yeah.
And with my brain, it's 100% Jayden Daniels. How is it not Jayden Daniels?
Yeah.
I was on the Bo Nix train for a lot of the season, and then give me the last 4 weeks of the regular season, and I went, nope, there's another guy. And I work in an office with Raider fans every day. They want to preach Brock Bowers to me all the time. I think Brock Bowers is awesome. I think he's great, but he is not.
He's tight end 1 next year.
Absolutely. I have no problem.
Probably
with that.
even this year, bro. With how weak the tight end stuff was.
Yeah.
It was him and George all year.
Yeah, that's it.
It was him and George all year. It was the two of them.
Huge
and then
decline in
else
tight end production. Huge decline this year.
Massive.
But
Lots
the
of
difference
injuries,
is, difference is the Raiders got a higher pick with Brock playing well, and the Commanders went from the second pick overall to the conference championship game.
Yes.
Like there's a difference there. Yeah. Brock's amazing. The Raiders stuck worse.
We've said this about the MVP award for years, because this is what this is. This is the rookie MVP award on the offensive side of the ball. We understand that, but like legitimately, it's going to be a quarterback anytime there's an excuse to give it to the quarterback.
Yeah,
this was the best quarterback of this draft class. As much as I love Bo Nix, as much as I think any other year, it was Bo Nix. It is Jayden Daniels' award, 100%. Love that we took the time to talk about that kid too, because he's just awesome. We'll make this next one a little quicker. Coach of the year. This is tough. Don't get me wrong, especially for the first. It's a conversation. There are two names on here that merit some discussion. In particular, Dan Campbell went from 12-5 in 2023 to 15-2 in 2024. Also just lost all of his coaching staff. They're all gone.
The Eagles from a couple years ago. It's the exact thing.
Dude,
can you imagine the comp picks?
He lost the third trainer. He lost the janitor. He lost everybody.
Literally, the only guys he didn't lose, he had to promote into coordinator roles. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the head of the cafeteria is going to be running the defense next year.
Matt, you're going to have that old guy Lions fan.
I resigned and called was like, dude, we might need a chaplain. Like, dude, they're begging for people to stay, dude.
Yeah. Like, it's bad out there, bro. Bad. But legit, we're going to see how great of a coach he is next year, for sure. Kevin O'Connell from the Vikings goes from 7-10 in 2023 to 14-3. With Sam Darnold, gave up their franchise quarterback in Cousins and gets them to 14-3. Obviously, they laid an egg. Okay, when it mattered, they laid an egg. But you got to give them. It's a regular season award, as we're going to say a couple more times. I got to think about that one. Sean Payton's a finalist in this, 8-9 to 10-7. Not a huge jump, but did have a rookie quarterback, and we just said a lot of nice things about them. So we'll just move on. He's not winning it. Andy Reid. You could just give him the award every year, but that's not the way it works.
You might end up calling this the Andy Reid Award.
When he's done, they may rename a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. McDonald's might change their name.
They might call the NFC Championship legitimately the KC Invitational. Like that when their dynasty's over.
If he opens a barbecue joint in Kansas City, the game is over, kids.
Hold up. Can I just say I love how quickly like the Chiefs have this 5-year run. And we're already like, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, we didn't just see a dynasty win 6 Super Bowls.
You ready?
But it's all like this.
No, I know. I totally get that. And the Patriots had 2 different runs. But, like, I just think it's funny how everyone talks about, oh, they hate the Chiefs. No, people hate the Patriots more because they're begging to replace them with somebody.
I think fans they just hate dynasties. They hate.
Everybody hates the winner.
Like, everybody hates the winner. They become like, it's literally you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's the Chiefs. That's the Patriots. That was the Cowboys. That was the Niners in the night.
Yeah. Like, it's a DC quote from Grant.
Yeah,
absolutely. But like, I can't think of if they do this, how is this not insanely impressive? And where you
if they three-peat,
I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
like this is it. This is the greatest run in the history of sports.
Well, yeah, definitely greatest run. Absolutely.
Look, we respect other sports, and other teams won lots of championships when they only had 16 teams in their league. I'm talking to you, Celtics, and all that crap. But like, genuinely, to win 3 times in the NFL in a row has never happened, and it is the hardest sport to do it in.
To win
it is a 53-man roster. Yeah. Everything has to be right for you to do this.
It's like close to 25 weeks or so.
If they do it, this is legitimately the greatest dynasty of all time. I'm gonna say that, no problem. I understand all the Super Bowl wins out in New England, but if you win 3 in a row, that's something that even the great Tom Brady could not do, that Belichick could not do, and that's game over. Point.
And to bring it back to the coach of the year conversation, like Andy Reid has obviously coach this team, but they've also been able to win in different ways. Yes. You know, they get rid of Tyreek Hill. What do? They go win another Super Bowl.
Yep.
You know, and obviously, you know, you have Spags there doing incredible things with the defense, but Andy Reid is kind of suffering from the same thing that like LeBron suffers with when it came to MVP, where it's like, we're just not going to give him MVPs anymore because of the fatigue. He's always going to show up in there, but he's not going to get him. But you know, even though Andy Reid is probably like the coach of the year every year, just about, it's not as impressive of a jump when you go win a Super Bowl and then you go back to a Super Bowl versus some of the jumps these other guys have made.
Yep. And legit, we say that because we understand, like, this is Super Bowl number 5 in 6 years. Like, we're aware of what has happened. So we totally get it. But the next guy,
easy,
2023, 4-13, the second worst franchise in the league at the time. Okay, because crap. Carolina and Jacksonville exist, so whatever. Take your pick.
No, but coming off of what they were with
Yep.
Snyder and everything, all of that, the worst franchise in the league.
The worst franchise in the league. Let's just say they were the best dumpster fire out there. Yeah. The Washington Commanders turned around, go 12-5 with a rookie quarterback, with a brand new head coach who, by the way, lost that one Super Bowl. And legitimately, Dan Quinn takes this team. You're going to bring it up every time you talk about him. It's this week. It's always going to come up until he goes and wins one. That's his legacy.
It's true.
But legitimately, for this year and for what he did, that guy put together, in my mind, a top 3 coaching staff in the league. Got to give him all the credit for that. And then he did nothing but go draft the right guys and do all the best things that he could, made the most out of that garbage defense that they were locked in with. And credit to him for getting Bobby Wagner to make the trip. That was huge for them. But 12-5 for Dan Quinn.
NFC champion.
Well, and it's over.
Yeah, that's he wins it. And the thing is, too, which I've texted in our thread, and you guys heard me say it, but like, I know it's a regular season award, but you can't not look at the postseason and what they did.
Yeah,
you can't. That is to tell the story of the Commander season. Like, it is those last 4 weeks of the season. It is those games and like dismantling the Lions, the best team in the league up until that point, dismantling them. I mean, obviously, granted, they lost pretty big, but like in the NFC Championship, but like, dude. It's over and done. There's no one close. Not even close. There's no other conversation. Like, if you're trying to make an argument, the only other guy that I think deserves a conversation is Kevin O'Connell. But like, but even then, I'm like, yeah, but you guys, sorry, but like, you were one and done in the playoffs.
I mean, they got pantsed by Sean McVay and the Rams. In that, and I would say this too, because I would agree that Kevin O'Connell would be my I don't want to know if I would call it close second. The only reason I say that is, again, for the sake of my take integrities here, where I talk about, MVPs and coaches of the year. I do think that with, the inevitable, probably unanimous rookie offensive player of the year being Jayden Daniels, I do think that there is a lot that you could say, like, okay, well, if I wanted to be the devil's advocate here and say Dan Quinn was a beneficiary of a far better quarterback than Kevin O'Connell was, and despite that, they were 14-3 in the hardest division potentially in the NFC with the Vikings there. I do think that there's a pretty good argument to be made for the regular season that Kevin O'Connell was a better coach than Dan Quinn because of just the lack of talent at that most important position. But I do think, again, for the spirit of the award, it has to be Dan Quinn at this point.
Bingo.
I think this award this year, you also could just make culture shift award, because it's coach, but it's also like everything he came into and how that that whole franchise is different, whereas the rest, they don't have that. So
yeah.
Also, again, call me a homer. Sean McVay should have been in there. I'm just saying.
I don't disagree.
To me, McVay falls into the Reed category. You could be like, yeah, he's a good coach. It's kind of the every year.
Yeah, but they were 1-4, terrible defense. Everybody's writing them off, and then they win the division and go into the playoffs and beat one of the other coach of the years head on pretty significantly. Not that matters again for the sake of voting, but
I think you could give him the Sean Payton spot. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, I think that because that was not much of a jump. They were clearly just needing a quarterback. They got one. They made the playoffs. I think that's the person. To me, if you were looking at the 5 of them, Sean Payton's number 5.
Maybe it was just a typo. Maybe they just put the wrong Sean in there.
Well, we're going to run through the next couple of these because we got one more big one to get to, and we're going to run low on time if we don't push it. So, comeback player of the year. The finalists are Joe Burrow. Came back from torn ligaments in his wrist. Sam Darnold went from backup to starter, which we have seen that be given out to somebody named Geno Smith.
I hate this award. This award's stupid.
Joe Flacco.
Yep. And then J.K. Dobbins coming back from an Achilles tear.
They need changes to most improved player of the year, like the NBA, because the NBA has that. That's what it needs to turn into.
Christian Gonzalez, torn labrum. Most of these are injuries. But I think in the spirit of the award, if you want to talk about most improved, This guy died on the field.
Okay, but
quite literally.
But here's the thing,
he was
though.
also up for it last year.
He was nominated for it last year and didn't win it.
Yeah,
and that's a joke that he didn't.
Well, yeah,
it's dumb.
Yeah,
like,
and I mean,
this
he
is
died.
a makeup. This is to me. This is a makeup one. They're going to give it to DeMar Lister because it should have been DeMar last year.
There you go. Let's just let it be that. I have zero issues with that.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the rest of this list, which again, this award is stupid. It should be a most improved player in my opinion. I guess he's the only guy that went from dying and not starting to now starting and being like an average mediocre starting safety in the NFL. Like, I think that's a better case than a lot of these other guys.
But it's probably going to be Sam Darnold in terms of how they're viewing this award, like how they are.
Yeah.
But also,
they like giving awards to quarterbacks, so there's that too.
They have to pick DeMar because he's just going to show up again next year on it again if he doesn't, and it's going to be like, hey, bro, it's time to let it go.
Hey, bro, 8 years ago, this guy died on the field. We haven't given him the award yet.
I will say, like, what's also I like the most improved because what's hard is, like, we knew Christian Gonzalez and Joe Burrow were good. They just got injured. I will say I like J.K. Dobbins because he finally was healthy enough to show that he was good because that guy was just always hurt. But it should be Hamlin. This is
Yeah, it should be. It should be. We'll see what they do. I agree. Darnold's probably gonna get it because every award's a quarterback award, but that would be the only reason. Defensive player of the year. I don't mean to run past things that I would love to talk about, but I know I'm again short on time, so I'm going to run through this. Zach Bond from the Eagles. Overall PFF grade of 90.1. 111 tackles, in probably had the best coverage of any linebacker all season with a 91.7 grade on that. 5 forced fumbles, 138 snaps. That one's got to be in strong consideration. Let me also look at Myles Garrett real quick. 92.3. We understand he's reigning Defensive Player of the Year award. Came up a little shorter on sacks total this year with 14, but played on an absolutely
because it's Myles
team.
Garrett. We're considering that low because it's Myles Garrett, by the way.
Yes, that's
That's
all.
not low to anybody else.
Well, the guy I'm about to name, when we compare numbers, it's probably going to get a longer look because of the numbers, which is Trey Hendrickson, aforementioned from earlier in the episode, from the Bengals. He had an 88.1 overall. But the dude he's a pass rush monster. This is what he does. He's not as good on run defense as Myles is. Absolutely not. But dude finished with 18 sacks this year. He had one more snap total. I thought that was funny than Myles Garrett, 823 to 822. They both finished with 83 pressures. So if you were going to do it by the numbers, Hendrickson clearly has a lead there. Let's look, though, at cornerback real quick. Best cover corner in the league, Patrick Surtain. For the Broncos, overall was an 85.6. Also had a fantastic run grade at corner because, remember, he plays outside, and he clipped over an 80 with an 80.5. That's a great run defense PFF grade on the outside. He played 978 snaps, most on the list. 37 receptions allowed all season. All stinking season. And passer rating allowed was a 61.1, lowest in the league. That is a strong case. I know that sometimes we want to see that interception number higher when you consider a corner, but
it's irrelevant, bro. They don't throw them.
He only had 41 tries.
Yeah.
I mean, or whatever it was. It's just ridiculous. TJ Watt, Steelers. This guy you can just put in there every single year. 92.2 grade. 90.1 on his pass rush, a 91.4 on his run, which for an outside linebacker is crazy high.
He's the most consistent out of this group, like the most consistent. Every metric is similar.
And let's remember, he played this year. A lot of times the hit on him is that he doesn't play enough snaps. 939.
Yeah.
Ends up with 53 pressures. Remember the rookie that we said earlier, and My throat likes to do that once every stinking episode. We're just hosing me. Jared Verse had 77. Out of his pressures though, Bro ends up with 6 forced fumbles and 12 sacks. That's ridiculous. TJ Watt wins you football games. Steelers did what they did this year on his back. I say it again and again and again. He's in the game. You got a chance always. Personally, if you're going with head here, it's probably Hendrickson. They award the sacks.
Yep.
That's been a huge thing. But honestly, I think Surtain deserves strong consideration.
That's what I'd like to.
Zach Bond.
We haven't seen it. It's always been defensive ends and pass rushers. I'd love to see a corner again. Last time was Gilmore in like 2018.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's always been, outside linebackers and edge rushers.
And he had crazy high numbers all the way around that year. Gilmore did.
Yeah, he did.
One of the best coverage seasons ever. Zach Bond, though, I say 5 forced fumbles, 111 tackles isn't crazy impressive, but overall, that was great.
I would think, to me, that it's between two guys. TJ Watt, who I'm actually isn't not one of my two guys, but I just want to say I think TJ Watt is the best defensive player on this list, obviously. I don't think anybody's going to disagree with that. But despite that, I think the two guys that I go back and forth with are Zach Bond and Patrick Surtain. I think Zach Bond being what he was on that Eagles defense and with how good that Eagles defense is really important to the narrative of what's going on. Again, this is a guy that played 938 snaps and had 111 tackles, 5 forced fumbles on arguably the best defense in the league. And, this is a regular season award, but it's a defense that is in the Super Bowl. I think the Trey Hendrickson stuff is empty calories because that defense was abysmal and is the only reason why the Bengals didn't have a shot in the playoffs. So I don't think that can really happen, in my opinion. I'm going to root for Patrick Surtain because I do feel like whenever there is this year where there's not a standout pass rusher, in a way where it's like, let's say Trey Hendrickson had 18 sacks on a top 5, top 8 defense in the league, I think it's probably no question. But when there's not really somebody who stands out like that on a fantastic defense, if it's not Zach Bond, I would like to see Patrick Surtain because, again, 37 receptions allowed in the whole season that's
got to be number 1, right?
Wild.
It's ridiculous.
No, I think Revis Island has him.
No. I'm talking the season.
He played the most snaps,
okay. I was going to say, yeah. Pretty sure Revis Island might have him twice.
Yeah. So to me, if you play the most snaps at arguably the most difficult position on the defensive side of the ball, and you only allow 37 receptions in a pass-heavy league, to me, I would go Surtain, but I think Zach Bond maybe has like the narrative behind, the top defense in the league and all of the Eagles buzz, and he was a really tackles mean something on a really good defense, and so I think it might be him, but I would root for Patrick Surtain.
I think the thing that might hurt Bond though is because that whole Eagles defense, there's a lot of guys on it, whereas with Hendrickson, it's just him. But it's got to be Surtain, dude. They weren't throwing the ball to his side of the field. Like that, like Bond is getting tackles, but they're still running and he's moving all over the place. But like Surtain, they legit were just like, we're going to go that way. Like that's, as a defense, that is the best or as a cornerback, that's the best compliment you can get is they're not throwing me the ball. And it's not like he wasn't guarding their best guy. Like I agree. Like, dude, I love watching Zach Bond. That dude just he loves football, and I wish this award was hitting on guys like that more, because even like Nick Benito on the Broncos is a guy like that, just all over the place. But yeah, I think it's got to be Surtain.
So in the I want to include this, and before we move on, 2006 Champ Bailey. 10 interceptions, gave up a touchdown, 21 passes deflected, had 85 tackles. He was thrown at 89 times and allowed 40 completions.
Half.
Nnamdi in 2008, he played in only 15 games, had only 1 interception, but gave up 0 touchdowns, 9 passes deflected, 40 total tackles. He was only thrown at 27 times and allowed 8 completions. That is the lowest for someone who is a starter, because he was a Pro Bowl starter. They literally only threw the ball at him 27 times. That's crazy. But this one is a case for strong comparison. This is 2009 Revis Island. 16 games played, started all but one, 6 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 31 passes deflected, 55 total tackles, was thrown at 108 times, allowed 40 completions. I was actually wrong. Revis never allowed less than 40 completions in a season, and Patrick Surtain just did that. So, strong case, guys. Strong stinking case. I think my head just turned right there. I'm giving it to Surtain in the end. I think that's where it should go. My heart said, or that's where my heart is saying. I do still believe just they give it to the sacks leader. It's been a thing most of the time.
It's like MVP to quarterback. If there's not a quarterback who's lighting it up, and there's another position that is, like this year potentially, then maybe you have a case. And I think this might be one of those years where it's going to be a cornerback award, because pass rush this year was solid, but it wasn't a blow up year.
I also do believe that the year that Stephon Gilmore won it, pass rushing numbers were down too, in the same way. So I think
that makes sense.
That history to repeat itself a little bit.
I mean, and 18 sacks it's such a big number.
Yeah, that's one a game. That's one a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think he probably gets it. I want to move down to our last 2 before we close out with our Super Bowl champion picks. Offensive Player of the Year, Joe Burrow. He's not going to win it. But he had almost 5,000 yards, 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Crazy awesome numbers. I mean, a literal almost 5-1 there. That's awesome.
And like we had said earlier,
good.
And like we had said earlier this season, I think Brogan, you were on when we talked about this. Like, this is one of the best seasons we've ever seen from a quarterback that no one's cares about because they didn't make the playoffs, and that's sad.
Yep. I think after we looked at it, it's second best.
It sucks watching another Dan Marino career.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
It does. I mean, we said that when you were on, and it's 100% accurate. Like, this is the second best non-playoff season ever. So it's ridiculous. I hope to God that they get a defense for the love of all things.
Every single pick. Every single pick. However many they have.
Yes.
10, 12 picks. Doesn't matter.
And if you're a Bengals fan, I wouldn't hold your breath, because
they're stupid.
That organization is not so sharp.
No, their ownership likes to have the offensive toys. They do have a running back, by the way. Chase Brown's legit.
Yeah.
Okay, they got a running back, but they're gonna lose T. They're not gonna pay him again. He's going somewhere else,
to the Los Angeles Rams.
No, please, for the love of God, no. No.
If I were him, I'd settle in nicely in LA.
I don't blame him if he wants to go there. Bro. But I'm just saying, please don't, T. Higgins.
I'll judge him hard, though, bro. If you're willing to give up 50% of your paycheck to that state, I'm just saying. That's crazy. I would not play in California or New York. Those would be my 2, nopes.
Yeah.
Anyway, Saquon Barkley, strong consideration. We all know it. 345 carries, 2,005 yards, 13 touchdowns. Probably should have had 18 or 19 if Tush Push didn't exist. He definitely would. But we can say a lot
Dickerson safe once more.
Yeah, that is true. Jamar Chase, also strong consideration. 127 catches, 1,708 yards, 17 touchdowns at the wide receiver position, everybody. That is, if you're doing the math there, that is 100 yards and a touchdown every game.
Do we notice this right now, that there's 3 players from this Bengals team that are in these awards and that have incredible numbers, but we don't care?
Yes.
Just straight up.
And they're not
talking about that Joe
because
Burrow
they didn't go to the playoffs.
You talk about Joe Burrow's, one of the best seasons to not, as a quarterback to not be in the playoffs. I'm sure Jamar Chase is up there for his position as well.
Absolutely. And I want you to think about
he's only
besides
200
like
yards.
Megatron,
He's only 200 yards away from the record. Jamar Chase is
gosh.
from the record all time.
Like, think about this though. Joe Burrow played so good that if Jamar Chase's numbers aren't on there, like at all, the dude still threw for 3,200 yards, 26 touchdowns, and only 2 of his passes were picked off all season when targeting Jamar Chase. Okay. He would have had 7 interceptions. 26, really 7, and 30.
He would have basically been Jayden Daniels if he didn't have any of the yards that went to Jamar Chase.
Yep.
Dude, the most top-heavy roster in the league. Like,
that offensive side, it absolutely is. Yeah. Fix it, people.
Because I
gotta keep running. Go. Sorry, King Henry, 1,921 yards, 16 touchdowns. Not gonna get it. All the love. Not gonna get it.
Because of Saquon.
Because
what other year does a running back get 1,900 yards and we're like, it was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
But also do remember, I'm not including Saquon's receiving numbers in that either.
Yeah. So and also, Derek plays for a quarterback that runs a lot.
Yes, which that's the guy I'm about to talk about,
and still got 1,900 yards.
Like Lamar Jackson goes for 4,200, 41 and 4. 41 and 4. That's a 10-1, guys. I've been bringing up ratios all day. That's disgusting. And then he runs for 915 and he's got 4. It's the hardest position in sports. He was named as the first team quarterback in the NFL. I understand what Jamison's about to say, but my head says he's just going to get it. I'm going to
save it for. I know we're going to be trying to wrap this up as soon as possible, but when we get to the MVP, I do have a thing that I've been saving that I want to run through real quick. So I won't do it.
Okay. I think that because it's offensive player of the year, like, let's just give it to Saquon when they make these decisions. Just give it to him because I think what they're going to do at MVP matters for this award.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Saquon to me as well.
They've got to just make the switch. The MVP is the quarterback award, and the offensive player is the non-QB.
That is now 4 years in a row we have said that.
Yes, because otherwise you're disrespecting what Jamar Chase and Derrick Henry do when you're comparing them to Joe Burrow.
Yes.
And these guys had insane career years.
Yep.
And you're like, yeah, but Lamar was a 10-1.
All-timer.
Yeah, he shouldn't be in this. Like,
Or all those years where the quarterback won the MVP and the offensive player of the year in the same year. It's like, hey man, can we just give it to somebody else, please?
Yeah.
Seriously. It's absolutely stupid. But I do think it's a Saquon award. I think we're pretty strong consensus there. And then lastly, MVP. We already gave the Saquon and the Joe Burrow stats. For some reason, they put Jared Goff on this list. Poor Jared Goff is taken last. And I'm not trying to knock the guy hard. It's just you're the obvious 5th in this stat sheet. He finished with 4,629, 37 and 12. Good for him.
Jayden Daniels should be in here over Jared Goff.
I don't hate the comparison.
Or over Joe Burrow. If you want to kick out a guy who did not have a winning season.
I have always had issues with this award, and I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. They don't look at the one word in this when they vote for this award.
Valuable.
Yes, valuable.
Yes.
Because if you're going to look at that, this list could be completely different. Jayden Daniels would be in there. I mean, Jayden Daniels would be in here. Obviously, Saquon is in here, but you would put offensive linemen in here, bro.
Josh Allen would be in here still.
No, Josh Allen would be in here.
Like Jared Goff wouldn't be. Yeah.
No, you would put. You
said offensive linemen?
Yeah, bro. Are you telling me offensive linemen like Trent Williams and some of these best linemen are not some of those valuable pieces to their team? Like, seriously, look at some of these Lions teams and look at them if they didn't have Penei Sewell right now. Because then you have the quarterback as mobile as a tree back there in Jared Goff. Jared Goff is as mobile as a freaking tree, all right? And he has like the best O-line out there. Like, valuable matters. Who is the most valuable player to a team? And there's two players. It's Jayden Daniels and Saquon. Because if you remove those players from those teams, they're winning 3 games.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen. You on the Eagles.
If you take Josh Allen
on the Eagles.
If you take Josh Allen off the Bills, well, first off, no, because the Eagles made the Super Bowl without Saquon 2 years ago. They were in the same exact spot. What did
they do last year?
Same quarterback.
What did they do last year? They were terrible. The Eagles were terrible on the offense side last year. Yeah, they squeaked into the playoffs, but that team petered out fast. And we were calling for Sirianni's job last year, bro.
I still think he's bad now. I think he's bad now, and he's in the Super Bowl. You know,
I'm gonna disagree with you on that because this bro's now been in 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. You can't say that this guy's trash if he's
3
been
years.
In 2 Super Bowls.
You wrong. Seriously, dude. Like,
if you give me the Eagles roster, I could coach them to the Super Bowl. I'd just be like, "Hey guys, how are the vibes? Are we good?"
Bro.
I'm not going to shave my head because
unless I need to, then I'll do it.
Yeah.
It's valuable. Who's the most valuable player on certain teams? Saquon is the most valuable player on any team for any team.
Bro,
he is the biggest. He is the biggest impact.
No, he's not.
Are you clip farming right now?
No, I'm not.
Because legitimately, if you're going to that argument, Patrick Mahomes is clearly number 1.
Yes.
It's not even close.
No, it's Saquon this year, bro. Are you?
Nobody has won on Patrick
every
Mahomes' watch since he stepped into the league.
Football.
No,
that's insane.
Saquon this year is the most valuable player on a team right now. Saquon, what he's done is incredible. It's historic, bro.
If you're doing a redraft of every team, Saquon's probably not drafted until like the 2nd round because of all of the quarterbacks.
Bro, it is the most. You can't have it both ways, Grant. You can't sit here and say that the most important position in all of sports is quarterback, and then give it to a running back whose dime a dozen couldn't make more than $10 million a year in New York.
Are you kidding? Are you calling Saquon a dime a dozen?
No, it's a dime a dozen position. I'm saying the value of the position. The quarterback position. Player. Dude, the quarterback position is so much more important. There are genuinely 20 players in the NFL that are technically more important to their team.
Saquon played for another team that did not have a good quarterback, and we saw how that went.
Yes, Grant. The last 10 Super Bowl winners. If you look at the last 10 Super Bowl winners, there's been 1 year that they had a 1,000-yard rusher. 1. And it was LeGarrette Blount with the Patriots, dude.
Bingo.
So is he the greatest? Dude, like.
Love that guy.
No.
Remember when they punched that dude in the face?
Yeah.
I love that.
I remember where I was when that happened.
But I'm just, man, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that this is that important and then crown a guy the most important guy on the field all year. You just can't do it.
I can't. Like I'm putting that crown on Saquon's head.
But you're wrong. You by your own admission, you're wrong because you can't sit here and tell us that it's not the most important position in sports.
Also,
you know it is.
Also, my favorite
I'm not saying
argument for
I'm
this.
saying right now, and this
my
season,
favorite.
You take Saquon over Patrick
Jamison,
Mahomes right
I'm trying to listen to you, dog. I'm talking
about the season. I'm talking about the season, right? That's what we're talking about. I'm not talking about body of work overall. That's really what this is about. The 2024 season, right? Is it not?
Yes.
The 2024 season. I'm not talking
season.
I'm not talking
this more important.
In this 2024 season, if I were to look at this most valuable player position of running back, we just talked about another offensive player of the year who had more touchdowns than Saquon Barkley and had only 80 fewer rushing yards than him all season. And Derrick Henry.
So what are the total yards?
But we are talking about
offensive yards.
We're talking about Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry like they are in different galaxies when they had 80 fewer rushing yards than Saquon, and 3 more touchdowns. By the way, on an offense that was a machine,
and by the way, did it with less carries.
Yeah,
like an entire game's worth of less carries for Henry. I I understand what you're saying, that he's a huge difference maker, and I agree with that. We watched that guy jump backwards and embarrass somebody for an all-timer play.
I mean, he would be the first running back off the board for sure.
I mean, his explosive plays are insane, and it's the number one stat that all these guys look at now.
No, and he has the most explosive runs in the history in the season. 50-plus yard touchdowns. He has the most.
Yes, and so I totally get that he has insane value. But he is not, as Jamison pointed out, he's not who you start your team with. If you're drafting, that's not who you pick. I don't understand then explain to me exactly what you're saying. Like, his body of work was better than everybody else's. It wasn't. It was barely better than the number 2 running backs.
And the statistically, I'm not box score watching and just looking at statistics. I look at the Eagles team last year and the Eagles team this year.
They went from a playoff team to a Super Bowl attending team currently.
After they were a Super Bowl team the year before that.
They got shellacked in the playoffs by the Buccaneers last year. They were one and done. And that offense was abysmal last year. Like, they started off hot and then coasted, foot off the pedal into the playoffs because they started out strong.
Yeah.
And that team collapsed and fell apart. And we were calling for Nick Sirianni's job, saying how terrible he was. And all of a sudden now this team has done a complete 180. And what's the big difference in this team this year from last year to this year?
Well, both coordinators.
Yes, now they have a second year, but again, it's the players on the field.
But it's Saquon, and it's also that their quarterback's healthy,
and their defense is monstrous,
and their defense is insane.
But again, that wasn't a huge in terms of personnel. I mean, yes, they added Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, but they still had Jalen Carter last year. They still had trying to think. Bond. They still had a bunch of these guys last year. But you look at the totality of this team. I'm arguing right now that he is the most valuable player to a team in the 2024 season because of what he has done and what he has done with this team. That's what I'm arguing.
I think he's the most valuable player on that team,
and a million other teams,
and a bunch of other ones. Dude. I don't. He's not more important than all these quarterbacks. He's just not. Like, he's not. Patrick Mahomes has proved the value of the position again, just like Tom Brady did, just like Elway did back in the day, just like Peyton Manning has. Like, the position just matters, and I get what you're saying. Like, he brought incredible value to them, but legitimately, it's a quarterback award, bro. And
I think it's stupid. And I hate it. Yeah, this is me protesting.
But
again,
okay,
I mean,
he's going to win offensive player of the year.
My voice means nothing. I get that, but I'm just saying this is my protest of what this MVP award is. That's what this is.
One thing I want to give you though, there is one guy playing in the Super Bowl on this list. One, and I want to give it to you.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean you're right, but there is one guy playing on that's on this list, and that's him.
If you are not a quarterback and you are even a candidate for the award, you should take that as like a win.
Oh, because I mean, and I
get that's the case. You're going to win the offensive player of the year.
He doesn't need another one of these, from anybody. I get that, but it's a quarterback award. Can we just call what it is? We said it a million times. We say it every year on the show, and it's messed up. They need to separate the two because, as everybody's correctly said on the show today, those are two different things. Quarterbacks are just a different thing. And those stats are always going to be in their favor because there's more opportunity. They touch the ball more than anybody else. It is what it is. Exactly. And so you can't compare. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say is you cannot compare Saquon to quarterbacks. You just can't do it. And you can't describe value of his position over the others, which I know you're not entirely trying to do, but are making a case that this sucks, that he's going to get hosed. And I get that. So overall, though, I mean, in the end, this is Lamar's award, most likely. He made first team as a quarterback. That's traditionally where this goes. He had an insane touchdown interception ratio. He also almost ran for 1,000. Well, he ran for 915 yards and 4 more scores. You can't do a whole lot more than what he did in the regular season. And then also had a running back, by the way, almost run for 2,000 yards and 16 touchdowns. You just look at the body of work. He's already won it a few times. He's going to get it again. And I think that is what it is.
I think it needs to be Josh Allen. I think Josh is more valuable to his team, but also I'll be honest, the problem with this award too is it's a regular season quarterback award.
Yes. It is.
Because that's the other thing is Lamar flames out in the playoffs every year.
Yeah. And it's the one knock you got on the guy. It is.
It's no longer like a thing a couple seasons. It's who he is now.
I will say, to push back on you though, Brogan, I know we're finishing up the conversation, but like, he did not throw for 4,000 yards. And I thought he would when I said he was going to win it. Josh Allen did not hit 4,000 yards. He threw 3,731. He did not throw 30 touchdowns, but he did run for 12. So he puts up 40 total. Lamar put up 45 total. Lamar obviously has double the rushing yards as well. So for me, just if we're going off the stats, they had very similar years in a lot of ways. One guy played one game longer than the other one. One season longer.
I go off of value because Josh had nobody around him James Cook started coming on and played good, but I just look.
I do also think, obviously we know Derrick Henry is a monster, but I do think that like part of Derrick Henry's progression and his ability to kind of, keep up with Saquon's monster year this year is because of Lamar Jackson's gravity. It's like the Steph Curry effect. It's like when you have three people that have to guard Steph Curry on the wing, it's like, okay, well, now everybody else is going to eat. And so I do think that like Derrick Henry at this point in his career still putting up almost 2,000 rushing yards has a pretty big part to do with Lamar and what he's also doing.
Yeah,
it's stupid. That guy,
they'll run a read option and you'll see three people bite on Lamar, and then Derrick Henry's already in the second level.
Yeah.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Well, we got to get to our pick'em before we wrap up the episode for the game. We're going to make it quick and short, but
by the way, my MVP is Lamar Jackson. Obviously, I'm not going to go into my thing about him, but it's Lamar.
That's fair. I mean, Grant got us all pissed off, so it was fun.
Still worked up about it.
Bite thine tongue. Chiefs and Eagles. That's what they're calling it anyway. Down in New Orleans this Sunday afternoon, evening for a lot of you. Realistically, we got an over-under at 49 points. You got two really good defenses, the best quarterback of moments in the history of the NFL, taking on a just crazy good, again, defense, and also an offense that can waste you just as they did Washington. This is going to be a heck of a battle, I think. Looking forward to it. I hope that the Chiefs lose and the Sea of Red goes home crying. But in the end, guys, we got to pick a winner. Who are you taking? We're going to start with Jamison.
We've said it all season. I'm not going to change it now until it's not. It is the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. And also, Patrick Mahomes, worth noting, by the way, this game in a dome in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes has a pretty good postseason record. I don't know if you guys have ever caught on to what that is. But he's also 12-0 in games in a dome during his career in the regular season, at least. So Patrick Mahomes in a dome and in the postseason in the Super Bowl. It's Patrick Mahomes and it's the Chiefs. They're winning the Super Bowl. They're three-peating for the first time in the history of the sport.
I don't like that pick. Anybody else?
Does anybody else have anything different?
That's pretty fair, bro.
Bueller.
Until greatness shows you that it can't win, I think you have to go with because here's the thing with the Super Bowl. Like with the playoffs, you're like, hey, I'm like, it's who's healthy and stuff. The Super Bowl, it's one game and you show up.
Mm-hmm.
And you're asking Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones. You're asking
Andy Reid.
I need just one game. And I think it's Kansas City. But also on a side note, Jamison, I'm just going to add to the stat you brought up about he's 12-0. It's written in the stars. It has to be Kansas City because the number 13 is actually one of Taylor Swift's lucky numbers. So Mahomes will be 13-0 in a dome, which is a lucky number to Taylor.
There we go.
I just Googled that. I knew there was something there. and I googled it. I literally was like Taylor Swift 13. First thing that popped up, it was like this is her lucky number. And I'm like, there it is.
There you go. Oh my gosh, I think that's like one of the most common lucky numbers. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
that people
that's
declare
not
anyway.
saying anything.
All right, Grant, your take, real quick. I'm gonna go off my camera for a moment because I want to read my stupid stat when I get to it, and it's saved on my phone.
I mean, yeah, I think these two teams were destined to meet in the Super Bowl, because of one thing, and something that we Matt and I kind of chatted about last week. Didn't dive in a lot. These are the two greatest front offices in the league. It's 1A, 1B. I think the Rams are probably 3. I'm probably blanking on like another couple that are great, but these are the two greatest front offices that we have seen in the league. They continue to make moves. Dude, the Eagles won a Super Bowl, like, what was that? Like in 2017 with completely different coaching staff and players. And they've been to 2 since then. Like this front office is insane. And the Chiefs front office continues to make the right moves, continues to pivot when they need to, kind of like we're talking about, like how to sustain a dynasty is making these moves. Not Howie Roseman, what's his name? I don't remember. The Hunt family, right? I think that's them. Like
they own it, but their GM is I don't
remember his name. But they continue to make just excellent moves. And this shows that I do think you need to have coach and quarterback, but over everything else, you need to have a good front office. You're not gonna sniff the playoffs. Yes, Veach, that's right. Mm-hmm. You're not gonna sniff the playoffs if you do not have a front office that is at least a top 10. Like that's how this works. And at least have playoff success. Maybe you get in there and lose, but so these two teams, best front offices, destined to be here. But honestly, and the way it's going, this might be the rematches we continue to see. Honestly, this is already the second rematch we've seen in 3 years with these teams. But that being said, just like what Brogan said, until the Chiefs can prove us wrong, I'm not going against the Chiefs. You can hate them, you can doubt them, but the Chiefs are inevitable. That's how it is.
If we think it's a one-score game, like we all might think it's going to be a close one-score game, Patrick Mahomes in one-score games, pretty good.
And again, like I've said, like I want the Eagles to win. Obviously, as I just displayed here, I'm a huge Saquon fan, and I want this for Saquon more than anyone else. But also to see a 3-peat would be pretty freaking cool. So it is nice to have no dog in this fight. Like literally, I don't hate the Eagles. I don't want the Chiefs to win just because I haven't seen them win. Because I've just seen them win so much. But other than that, I don't hate any of the players. I don't really believe the conspiracy a whole lot about the ref thing. But like,
well, it's fine. Just because you're wrong, it's fine.
That's fine. But so I think I kind of win either way. But I'm picking the Chiefs.
In 2002, Super Bowl was in New Orleans. The Rams lost. Patriots won. 2003, it was in San Diego. The Raiders lost. The Buccaneers won. 2006, it was in Detroit. The Seahawks lost. The Steelers won.
We didn't talk about that one.
2009, Tampa. Cardinals lost. Steelers won. 2013, New Orleans. 49ers lost. The Ravens won.
Is this like the home team, away team thing? That's what this is.
No, I know what this is because I saw it earlier.
2015. It was in Glendale, in Arizona. Seahawks lost. Patriots won. 2019. It was in Atlanta. The Rams lost. The Patriots won. 2024 is in Vegas. The 49ers lost. The Chiefs won. In 2025, the Super Bowl is in New Orleans. Kansas City Chiefs are the team traveling east.
Yeah.
The Eagles are the team traveling west. In this century, every time the Super Bowl has been played between two teams that include one traveling east and one traveling west, the team traveling west has won. The Chiefs are traveling east this year, and the Eagles will be traveling west. So you want to talk about streaks. There's a major one on the line. Clearly, The freaking Chiefs are going to win this stupid game, and I freaking hate it. And I want to kill myself every time I think about it, but not really. That's an overreaction. I apologize for going off camera for no reason. They're going to win the stupid game. That stat's retarded, and anybody who believes that garbage is dumb. You're just looking for something to justify your belief that the Eagles can actually win. Patrick Mahomes is going to be the greatest quarterback of all time when all's said and done, and I'm going to have to live with that because I watched my team lose 2 Super Bowls to him, and I'm going to have to watch him win another one this year. And Travis Kelce's going to propose to freaking Taylor Swift on the stupid field after the game. They're going to get married and fall in love and like have a bazillion children because they're not in love right now. They're just hanging out for money. And then legitimately, it's going to be the worst thing that's ever happened in my life. My camera fell over 2 times while I've been pissed off about it. Gosh dang it. They're going to win like 27-24, guys. That's it.
What are the odds Jameis Winston finds himself on the podium for whoever wins, though?
Please let that happen.
You see the whole team holding the trophy and just out of the back, brother, let me just ask real quick. Like, he just fought.
Or just, no, the best would be as they see the guy carrying the trophy and everybody, like all the players touch it. We just see Jameis appear out of view camera. Just touch it. It's like what? Okay.
Just give me one, guys. Just give me one. I throw too many interceptions to touch one of these.
I want him to be the backup for the Chiefs so he can win a Super Bowl.
Seriously. That's what that guy on there.
Dude, if he was the backup for the Chiefs, I'm rooting for the Chiefs like with every fiber of my being. Just for Jamison to be able to
he would talk so much smack and everyone would be like, you do nothing, and he'd be like, we out here. Like
the biggest dub of all. We just ate the biggest dub of all time. Nothing.
He'd be on the Chiefs and he'd be like, they never believed in me.
We out here playing in the snow. In the snow. Never played football in the snow. We're playing in the snow.
I mean, the other really famous stat for like arbitrary stat that doesn't really matter but has a pattern is that out of the 58 Super Bowls, 37 teams wearing white have gone on to win with a 64% win rate. And in the last like 10 years, it's been like 8 of the last 10. I've worn the team that's worn white, and the Chiefs are wearing white.
Yeah.
There's also the one Super Bowl they lost was when they were wearing red.
Oh,
Tom Brady. Other than that, they've worn white.
Frick. Yeah, nothing to do with Brady.
No,
dude. There's just something about like Michael Jordan was this way. I saw in an interview where for his 6th ring, he's like, that's the most motivated and like I had the biggest chip on my shoulder. And you're like, dude, you've won it 5 times. How do you get that motivated again? Mahomes has that same thing where there's like there's a drive that these guys have, and it's just until they lose.
That's why they're here.
How do you pick against them? Like,
and that's why they're here. That's why they're in these positions because they are motivated, unlike anyone else.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're going to call it an episode there. Genuinely, thank you, everybody, for hanging out. We know this was a little bit of a longer one, but it's Super Bowl week, so why not give it a little bit more attention, have a little bit of fun with it. We screamed and yelled a lot today. That was great. Enjoy all the food. Go eat all the food.
Eat all the dubs. Eat all the dubs. Eat the
Jameis,
dubs, dude.
go eat some crab. Go eat some crab,
Winston
Jamison.
cookies. Those are not dub cookies. Those are Winston cookies. All
Yes,
right,
dude.
go
Yes.
eat them up this weekend.
Yes.
I'll be making a few different things this weekend. We'll definitely be getting little smokies out. That's a must. Usually there's a big sandwich involved, some smokies, various chips and dip type things. All the goodness.
Yes.
We'll be
Yes, Lord.
over at my Raider fan friend's house watching this one. It'll be great. We'll be talking about how great our team seasons were and arguing about George Kittle and Brock Bowers, I'm sure. But I hope you guys have a great time. I'll be so loving the commercials, I'm sure. I'll at least get that. I hope Doritos comes out with another banger. Let's go. And we'll be here to wrap up our season. We're going to be taking a break as we usually do, not long after, but we'll have a free agency episode coming. We'll have our draft special that we do live on our on various platforms. We'll have fun with that. And we welcome you in for one more conversation this next week before we go to vacation mode. But I hope you guys have an awesome Super Bowl Sunday and hope the Chiefs lose by 1 million. Let's go!